it's time to watch the Gacha God video. All right, apparently there's a 2-hour 15 minutes movie about Saintontas. Now I'm not sure if I'll be able to watch it in one long sitting, but we'll see, right? We'll see what this is all about. Now, big shout out to Gacha God. You guys know what it is, right? We have seen his videos before. I haven't reacted to his video in a while, actually, right? I think the last Gacha God reaction that I did was what was it again? I think it was the M-Test or something, right? So we're gonna see what he got to say regarding this, because 2 hour is very. I feel like. So here's the thing about Gacha God, right? I don't know if he will ever watch this video. Instead of making a 2-hour video, he should probably make split it up into 3 videos or something, right? Make it a bit shorter, because 2 hour I feel like it's kind of a bit long, right? He didn't drop a video in a long time because he was working on this particular video. Yeah, but I feel like the drama has sort of died down a little bit. If he released this video even 2 weeks earlier, it would have make a better impact, I guess, right? But regardless, I'm still kind of curious what this will be all about. I understand that editing can take a very long time, right? So sometimes we can do separate part, right? Part 1, part 2, part 3. Gacha God makes the best videos. Is it though? Okay, let's see then. All right, we don't mess around, right? We don't mess around with the stuff.
The devs listened, but gave out a band-aid fix for the dog shit progression in this game. Holy
progression.
Fuck. I have never seen a game before where it feels like you're getting scammed on the stamina.
So that's Arknight's Enfield?
This game looks like it has half the budget that it had 2 or 3 years ago. I
2
don't
or
think
3
anyone
years.
can even dispute that. It literally looks like the budget got cut in half. What are you even saying at this point?
Wow.
Bro, this just let this game die,
Damn.
bro. I don't even care anymore.
Just let the game die.
Bro,
No,
just
wait.
let the game die.
Just let the game die?
If this is the shit that is getting upvoted,
Okay,
I
that's
don't
too
even
much, though.
care, bro.
That's too much.
The only players still left in this game are stupid.
Stupid.
Saintontas is a manlet who needs no introduction, mainly
Damn.
because he doesn't deserve one in the first place, but
Okay.
unfortunately, you're gonna need one anyway
Manlet.
for this video to make sense if you don't know who he is.
No way.
Chances are, though, if you're the kind of gacha player who doom scrolls on Twitter or was looking up Arknight's Enfield videos at some point in the past 2 or 3 weeks, you've probably come across a video or two from him, whether you meant to or not. He is a so-called
I don't think I have, actually. For me, at least for my feed, right? I guess everyone's feed is different, right? But I don't think I've ever seen his videos appear in my feed. Definitely more of the AI penguin stuff, right?
Content creator in the gacha space online whose content revolves around fabricating narratives about gacha games that he does not like for
Tuhu
whatever
looking
reason.
fresh?
Whether it's streaming himself not playing those
I
gacha
think-
games
I think Tuhu's teeth is very white. Very white.
just to talk constant shit about them.
He takes care of his teeth very well.
8.1, bro. Honkai Star Rail 7.4.
7.4.
So HSR is a fucking 7.4, bro.
Okay.
With what's going on in there. If HSR is being rated this high, clearly something is going the fuck wrong.
Or producing videos that are simply ripped straight out of his stream VODs that he then defecates onto his YouTube channel. For the past 2 years, Saintontas has been taking advantage of the gacha community at large with this kind of low-quality, reactionary, provocative, and slanderous content in order to farm that very same community for easy clicks and views.
Damn.
With the support of his main benefactor, the god of losing court cases, Tectone, and other like-minded...
The god of losing court cases. Tecton. Is it true Tecton lost 1 court case? You can't just call people the god of losing court cases when you only lose 1 court case, right?
Provocative and slanderous content in order to farm that very same community for easy clicks and views.
Shoot,
With the support of his
backwards
main
too much.
benefactor, the god of losing court cases, Tectone, and other like-minded content creators who
I don't know who this is.
soon joined him in grifting gacha
Is it
content
Glaive Gale?
following his initial success
Glaive
and rise
Gale,
to
is it?
YouTube fame. Saintontas has been able
I don't know
to
who that is
breed
either.
an entire subculture within the gacha
Yo, is that a lot of dislike? He put Zenless Zone Zero absolutely disgusting. So I think I saw... Let me see if I can backtrack a little bit,
and
right?
rise to YouTube
I'm just
fame.
curious.
Saintontas has
2,000 dislikes, damn. So 1,000 like but 2,000 dislike. I think you guys can see, right? It's not being blocked right there. But that's
been
kind
able
of
to breed
kind of
an
a crazy
entire
ratio, right?
subculture
Crazy
within the
ratio.
gacha space that exists only to engage with gacha games in negative ways, providing nothing of value to the communities that they interact with, and even going so far as to attack other content creators around him, both foe and eventually friend alike. If all he did
Foe and
was make
friend.
troll content trashing Hoyo gachas and bending over to take the long shaft of Kuro games up his ass like he does for Tectone on a weekly basis to satisfy the Wuwa worshippers on Twitter,
Wait, do they do this on a weekly basis? I don't even know about this. How does he know about all of these things, right? I'm not sure about this stuff, right? But apparently that's going to be...
that would be one
I know
thing.
they are best
In
friends,
the world
alright?
of content creation, grifting and pumping out React Andy content is nothing new after
What the
all,
heck is that?
because that's what the internet algorithms of today
Black Leaf
prioritize
Wukong.
for the sake of content monetization. And as much as I hate this personally, especially within the gacha space, that is how things are currently. And for as dog shit as his content gets, I could at least chalk it up to him being a tourist and not knowing what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to the gacha genre, because he is far...
I think it depends on what's the content, right? Like, you can probably do reaction for like, if there's drama and stuff. What the heck is this thumbnail? Fat Amber. So that's going to be Fat Amber from, what's the name?
the only one who does not know what the fuck he is talking about when it
Genshin.
comes to gacha games.
That's how I got chat restricted in League of Legends. I'm sorry. Like, do you see how mean I can be without using profanity?
But the kind of
Damn.
behavior that he's been showing over the past year or so, and increasingly more so
Wow.
as of late, is another thing entirely. The more the clown runs his mouth and honks his big-ass red nose, the more he shows signs of degenerating into something clearly worse than a mere grifter.
Okay.
Or perhaps always was. He talks about bringing AR-15s into public spaces.
Oh yeah, I've seen...
You said he would get an AR-15
I've
and
seen
bring
this
it to
clip
a
before.
public gathering. Yeah, are shooting ranges not public?
So pretty old clip though,
other
right?
creators by demanding
It's
that
like 1
they
year ago, I
remove
think.
videos or other content that depict him in a bad way within 24 hours, as if he's giving out some kind of ultimatum, even going so
He will
far
attack
as to
sticks.
threaten to start slandering
Really?
Fob Master's wife.
Bob, next time you try to height shame me, I'm gonna bring Lily into it. You won't like that one, bucko. Hey, you talk about
Bucko.
my height, I'll talk about our girlfriend.
What?
Our. Because she's like your fucking chat's girlfriend too at this point. You guys are so fucking parasocial. And guess what, guys? I'm in Bob's chat.
And talk
Did he really did that? Like, there was a drama between Saintontas and Fort Master? I'm not aware of that, right? Because I'm not too sure about that. I think that one could just be like banter. I'm not too sure.
about not having an opinion on Enfield's Gacha is like not having an opinion on the fucking Holocaust.
If you don't want to have an opinion about Arknight's Gacha, this is like not having an opinion about the Holocaust.
I've seen that before, yeah.
First of all, yikes. And second
Damn.
of all, that's a really odd thing to say, given how he himself likes to run his own community. So, in light of all this, and especially recent events,
Interesting.
I feel the obligation to do my part in burying this fool 5 feet and 1 inch under. I'm Tuhu, the God of Gacha, and
God of
welcome
Gacha.
to the Saintontas Hater Manifesto.
Hater Manifesto. Damn.
But first, and this is the first time I'm ever saying this on
Hater.
this channel, a word from our sponsor. Enjoy GM
Sponsor-
is one of the
Enjoy
fastest
GM,
and
my
simplest
favorite.
ways to top up for all your favorite gacha
Yo, who is
games.
topping
Whether
up?
you play Genshin Impact, Honkai Star
Best
Rail,
website.
Zenless Zone Zero, Wuthering Waves, or
But yeah,
other
with
mobile
the
games, Enjoy GM makes
Hater
it easy
Manifesto.
and secure. Just visit their website,
gonna be what it
select
is,
your
right?
game and server, enter your UID,
The
and pick
false
from a
GuitarRock.
wide range of top-up packs. No
No,
account
no, no.
login or password
I'm the
needed, so you
demigod.
can recharge safely.
289
and stress-free.
gachas
The best
at the same
part
time.
is that Enjoy GM
Sponsored
offers
hate-
huge discounts.
Hater
with up to
Manifesto
35%
sponsor.
off on
I like
in-game
it, I like it.
currency. If you're pulling for a G-Buy, Sparksy, Shinatsu, or I think she's called Suna on the global server now.
Wait,
Amy,
she's gone already,
or
right?
Any new character in
Yeah,
any
yeah.
of your favorite
Suna is
gachas,
gone already.
This is the perfect time to stock up and
That's
save.
going to be the
Plus, they
stuff.
provide 24/7 live customer support.
Why not buy
to help with
directly in the
any
game?
questions you might
Because
have.
it's cheaper.
So you're never alone if you need assistance. Don't forget to use my
Yeah, a lot of these
exclusive link
websites
in
are
the
cheaper.
description and pin comment to grab your extra discount on top of their already amazing pricing.
Because
Thanks again
some
to Enjoy GM
games
for sponsoring this video.
have like in-store fees. In-store fees, right? Wow. Setting the stage. Clown.
Before we can talk about Saintontas and his personal rise to fame,
Okay.
more like infamy, we need to first discuss the environment that even allowed for a rat like him to do so in the first place.
Rat.
For those of you who are not as familiar with the gacha space, Genshin Impact has been the dominant gacha game
True.
between the years of 2020 to 2023.
I mean, let's be honest, it's still
that
dominant, right?
Even if you've never played gacha games at all, you probably know what it is, or at the very least, recognize some of its characters. It's a lot like how Overwatch was widely recognizable
Wow.
back when it first launched. Even if
Overwatch,
you didn't play it
hentai.
yourself, a lot of people around you, whether real-life friends or
Everybody knows
streamers you
Overwatch.
like watching, did play it, or because you may or may not have recognized some of its female characters being featured in some adult videos on
Adult,
other
guys.
corners of the internet. It took until 2023 with the release of Honkai Star Rail to end Genshin's sole reign over the gacha market.
Is it true?
And mind you, they're both made by the same company,
Honkai
called
Star
MiHoYo,
Rail.
based out of Shanghai, or HoYoverse outside of China. So rather than like getting its throne completely usurped, so to say, it was more like Genshin just began sharing its rule with its younger sibling. And no, before you ask, I don't count Tower of Fantasy as a gacha, at least not back when it first came out, since it was more like an MMO
Yeah, true.
with gacha
I think a lot of
elements,
people
if I
consider it
recall correctly.
an
What you
MMO.
have to understand is that there
That's fair,
was an
right?
anti-Genshin sentiment slowly brewing among the Genshin community itself
Wutari-
at large during the months leading up to the launch of other major gachas
Wutari-
like Star Rail and WoWa. And I'm not talking about people who don't like gacha games in general, talking trash on it.
I do think that gacha players are the most mind-broken community of any video
Mind-broken.
game. Because there is no way that you can play a turn-based video game like Honkai Star Rail and say it's generous because you only have to spend $200 to get characters.
I think when people say it's generous, they are comparing it to other games, right? They are not just talking about, oh, this gacha game is generous. I mean, of course, they make comparisons with other games, right? And like, I feel like a lot of games, like even like those live service games, have the same concept, right?
Or old school gacha players who consider Genshin to be an
He plays
absolute
gacha
abomination of a gacha game. I'm talking about then current Genshin players, or even ex-Genshin players, who slowly but steadily became more and more discontent and disillusioned with the game. Some of the problems these players had were things like the lack of quality of life updates, like gear loadouts, which, by the way, Genshin still does not have to this day.
Gear
for some
loadouts.
reason. The developer stating
Artifact.
in a now infamous interview that they had no plans to develop more endgame content for their player base because they were afraid that it would give their casual players more anxiety
But I thought there's a
and
new
a
one,
more
right?
general exhaustion and burnout
That
from
one,
the
that
game
that
itself.
interview, I think it's quite
Remember,
old.
Genshin is the very first gacha game that many people have ever played. Even to this day, for many of those people, it remains the only gacha game that they play or have ever played.
Damn, the only
this
gacha
general
game, eh?
Genshin burnout became pretty
Wow.
damn apparent during Honkai Star Rail's launch, because it was the second ever big production gacha game. Many
Big
players,
budget.
particularly those
Huge.
who were burned out from Genshin or were beginning to get burned out from Genshin,
Let's go.
flocked over to go play Star Rail instead. There,
True.
they enjoyed a fabulous honeymoon phase,
Honkai
where
Star Rail.
it felt like, at the time at least, they were finally playing a game that had insane amounts of content with its simulated universe game mode and upgraded gacha features that several future
Best
gacha
turn-based.
games would emulate. Like a beginner gacha banner
Everybody
that
loves
started
Honkai
you
Star
off
Rail.
with a random permanent 5-star character after you did
Global
50
passive.
pulls on it. A solo weapon rate up with a 75-25
What do you guys think of global
split
passive?
instead of Genshin's double weapon rate up. And a
Okay.
standard banner selector, where after you do 300 pulls total, you were able to redeem another copy of any permanent 5-star character, this time of your choice.
I got
While
well.
a lot of these honeymoon phase
The only one that I
sentiments
didn't have.
obviously no longer exist within the game's community today, it has been 3 years after all, this
True.
is nonetheless where the phrase Genshin could never originates from, at least here in the Western gacha community. It might be a little
Genshin
bit different
could
over
never.
in China or something. Because even though Genshin and Star Rail are both from the exact same company, gacha players, especially those who are getting, again, burned out from playing Genshin, or again, were already burned out from playing it, were desperate for another big gacha game to come along so that they can
Wow.
play that instead of Genshin. And by the way, in case you're wondering why these players didn't just go off and play other smaller gachas, one, a lot of them simply weren't even aware that other gachas exist at all. And two, even if they did, they're not interested in these smaller, more niche gachas. They
Horizon
still want
Walker.
to play a gacha like Genshin, a huge top production gacha game that also has a massive community to boot. The problem is that making a Genshin clone would still take other gacha developers years to come up with their own, which is why we're starting to see all these other big-ass gacha games, large-scale gacha games, coming out seemingly all at once these days.
Wait, is this NTE?
But remember
That's
that
NTE,
Star
right?
Rail is still developed by Hoyo, so even though Star Rail was a brief moment of much-needed fresh air, people eventually became more and more disillusioned with that game too, because at the end of the day, you could still tell that, yeah, this is a Hoyo game alright. Enter Wuthering Waves.
Wuthering! Everybody's favorite. Wuthering. So where does it begin?
The chronology that I'm using is a bit misleading because this trailer for Wuthering Waves that I just showed came out on May 26, 2022, almost a full year before Star Rail's own 1.0 launch. So even when Star Rail did come out, people already knew about Wuwa. This trailer appealed
there's like beta
hard
tests
to a
and
lot
stuff,
of
right?
the weary travelers who were getting sick and tired of their journeys in Teyvat because it offered them a glimpse of a game that would hopefully address all the grievances that they had with Genshin.
So is that where Saintontas comes in?
A darker, bleaker atmosphere that sharply contrasted
New
with
in
the
Gacha.
vibrant, uplifting
Wuthering and
vibes
Star
of
Savior
Genshin.
on top.
It featured superior movement mechanics,
I'm not sure if Star
such
Savior
as
is
wall running,
on top
wall
yet.
jumping, and even a double jump and a tether, none of which Genshin ever has outside of like some region-specific mechanics. Its combat was faster, more exciting, and thrilling by focusing more on individual character combos and precise dodging as opposed to the slower elemental reaction system of Genshin that relied more on team building and knowledge of reaction mechanics.
Reaction
and best
time.
of all, this was going to be the first major gacha that finally wasn't going to be produced by Hoyo. Instead, it will be another company taking the reins for this one, a studio known as Kuro Game out of
Kuro Games.
Guangzhou. So, as Wuwa's launch date of May 22nd, 2024 drew closer and closer, it began to garner more and more hype from its future players. Star Rail's launch did distract them for a little bit, but once its honeymoon phase wore off, they went right back into hyping Wuwa up again, assisted by 2 closed beta periods during April and May of 2023 and during February
that was
and
during
March
the open
of
beta.
2024. However, Wuthering
Remember
Waves
they have a free
encountered
beta as well.
pushback from Hoyo players during those same months leading up to its launch, particularly in mainland China. They claimed that Wuthering Waves would fail,
it is
that
very
it would
similar.
be dead on arrival, that Genshin
Right?
would crush Wuwa in its bid to compete with it in the big production gacha
Because
industry.
of
This, to my knowledge,
Tower
is
of
the
Fantasy
very
as well.
first
Tower of
instance
Fantasy
of
affect
the
that as well.
gacha tribalism that's been plaguing an alarming amount of gacha discourse online for the past 2 years. While old school gacha players had their own tribalistic tendencies against each other in years past, and Star Rail
I mean, I feel like tribalism has been around for a while, right? It's not just I think Genshin and Wuthering Wave definitely is a bigger one, but it was there during Genshin and Tower of Fantasy, right? It was there before that as well. I've seen some tribalism in like Blue Archive and Princess Connect back then as well, and I think Blue Archive and Revive Witch. It's always going to be the scale is going to be either small or big depending on the games, right?
players even had a bit of their own with Genshin players. Remember the whole Genshin could never bit from before. This was the first time 2 big communities from 2 different major gachas would skirmish against each other. And
Really?
any conflict of this
Skirmish?
scale was bound to have long-lasting repercussions for years into the future. As a result, this set the stage for catastrophe to strike, which means that now, at long last, we must address the midget in the room. We
Damn.
must now talk about the man who does not deserve the first 5 letters in his name, Saintontas.
The first 5 letters. The rat race.
The first video that appears on Saintontas' YouTube channel is titled Why Your Favorite Content Creator.
Wait, what happened to his shirt? He changed shirt already? Okay. Why your favorite content creator are skipping Wuthering Waves? Okay. Why is nobody talking about this game? Damn.
are skipping Wuthering Waves, released on May 8th, 2024, a few weeks before WUWA's
Very
1.0
interesting.
launch. In it, he discusses the fact
Very
that
interesting.
despite Kuro Games doing a lot of marketing for
Okay.
their new big gacha game, and how, given the trailers and all the closed beta footage that we've
Mm-hmm.
seen so far, Wuthering Waves should have had a lot more fanfare going into its launch, but strangely it
So he didn't like Wuthering Waves
All
back
of these
then?
marketing posts, along with character drip teasing, so on and so forth, have seen a fair amount of engagement on Twitter.
Okay.
However, there isn't a single quote retweet, reply, or mention from some of the most prominent Hoyo creators.
He also points out that with all the things that other big gacha CCs have complained about with Genshin up until that point, they should have also been looking forward to the release of Wuthering Waves, but a lot of them weren't.
The biggest draw towards Wuthering Waves is its proposed endgame. There have been a lot of CCs in the Genshin space that have cited a lack of endgame as one of their biggest frustrations.
Lack of
It's been
endgame.
4.5 years without much content
And
to
VLCT.
actually use your fully built characters on. Wuthering Waves seems to check off a lot of the boxes that Genshin left blank, directly appealing to general online viewpoints that are shared by both niche communities and the biggest creators alike. So why is nobody talking
He
about
sounds
it?
But
different.
his rationale for this was,
Different
and
mind,
check
maybe.
this shit out, you'll never guess, because of Hoyo.
Here's a retweet from Shinya, a recent creator in the Wuthering Waves space, that depicts a leaked ZZZ preferred creator contract
ZZZ.
that outlines the tasks, responsibilities, and most importantly, the
Leak
restrictions
lemao.
on the creators. If
I don't know what
creators
this is.
accept this contract,
Okay.
any future sponsorship offers they receive must be approved by Yomiholic, or MiHoYo's strong arm ad agency.
Okay.
Yomiholic can then decline any sponsorships on the creator's behalf that could be detrimental to ZZZ or the
Damn.
creator's reputation.
That's right, this dude, the Joseph McCarthy of the gacha space, has been screaming wolf about Hoyoverse since day fucking one.
I mean, if that contract is problematic, then don't take it, right? Don't sign it, because I think like at the end of the day, you either negotiate with the company, right? Or I mean, like it's always going to be an agreement, right? If you agree to it, then you do it. If you don't agree to it, then don't do it, I guess, right? I'm not too sure if is it like illegal? I'm not too sure. Like maybe some country that's like not allowed. I'm not sure.
Like their name is
Lawyer
somehow
jargon.
synonymous with those damn commies. Don't tell him where Kuro Games is located, by the way. That shriveled raisin that he calls a brain might not be able to handle that. He goes on in the video to claim that Hoyo was trying to intentionally create an atmosphere where
Okay.
they were essentially forcing gacha creators to be subservient to them by both making it so that it was preferable or even mandatory to create content for Hoyo exclusively,
ZZZ.
and by forbidding them from interacting from other gacha games, especially Wuthering Waves. He rambles
No
about
way.
how Hoyo is a predator in the gacha ecosystem with this little
Predator.
fuck-ass graphic, and how they're
What?
pressuring gacha creators into making less rational decisions, which,
Okay.
by the way, what the fuck does that even mean? And like, why do you expect the average viewer to care about the day-to-day decisions that content creators make about their own livelihoods? And then makes a random ass jab at those same content creators by saying that they're, in their mid-20s and never held a corporate job in their lives, which, is hilarious to hear coming out of a tiny little midget rat like Saintontas, because like, how many like corpo jobs has he ever held in his life? Before ending the video on a
Corporate
sort
job.
of like rebellious, never say die attitude,
corporate
that
job, right?
Wuthering Waves is in
Very
fact
important.
not dead on arrival.
I personally wanted to get involved in this scene myself as a new and upcoming creator, and I just wanted to do my part for the community to show that this game is not dead on arrival. It's gonna be perfectly fine.
There are two main reasons why I bring up
Perfectly
Saintontas'
fine.
very first YouTube video.
Okay.
First, it's to demonstrate how throughout his entire career, at least on this YouTube channel of his, he has sounded exactly like this. That throughout the past almost 2 years by this
He was never aggressive back then, I think. I don't know, like that aggressiveness, and then I think talking about the games in nature, I think is fine, but it's more about, I think what people have issue with Saintontas specifically in most cases, like, is him going for other content creators, right? He basically attacked like a lot of people and calling people rats and stuff, right? I think like that's what like basically triggered that. When you do that, you make a lot of enemies, and I think, yeah, that's just you are going to put a target on yourself, right?
point, he has waged a digital crusade within the fragile glass walls of his own mind palace against the big bad Hoyoverse. Sure,
Wow.
it's his first video, so he was still using a half-broken
Drama
Blue Yeti
revenue
mic that he
changed
pulled
him,
out of the
damn.
landfill where he lives, and
Maybe.
he hadn't fully mastered the air of an arrogantly smug politician who constantly carries himself around like a little fucking know-it-all like he does nowadays. But if you watch that video in its entirety, you will see how this has been his persona this entire time. How hating MiHoYo is quite literally his whole personality. In this sense, nothing
Hating
about
Hoyo.
him has changed in the last 2 years.
That's what it is.
I guess technically it has changed because, hey look, he now fucking hates Arknight's Enfield too. Wow, such character development. Maybe that video he put out recently shilling for NTE can also be considered character development. The second reason is because
He
this
likes
first
NTE.
video
Okay.
from Saintontas is actually kind of a good allegory for how his channel and his content have developed over time. Dare I say it, the beginning of the first video starts off actually rather reasonably and level-headedly, if that's even an adverb.
Okay.
He presents an issue that is actually genuinely concerning as an up-and-coming Wuthering Waves player, at least back then.
If you look for content prior to release, you're unlikely to find videos from some familiar names and large CCs within the gacha space, specifically those affiliated
Zyok,
with
is it?
Hoyoverse.
But by the
Hoyoverse.
middle of the video, he drags the issue down into a quagmire of finger-pointing and effigy construction.
Hoyoverse is a predator in the content creator ecosystem. They have created a hyper-competitive landscape where creators have a massive advantage if they can make the first move.
Wow.
Putting all the blame on Hoyo while simultaneously failing to offer an adequate enough solution.
I mean, Hoyo did have the I feel like that part maybe it could be true because Hoyoverse do have the what's that thing called? Like an exclusive server, right? That server they call it creator server, right? Like I'm not sure if other games have that. As far as I know, Wuthering probably has that as well. But I know Hoyoverse have the content creator server like Genshin or Honkai Star Rail. Basically, you can have early access to those particular server, right? If you are trying to be a creator, you need to compete against people who have access to the early information, right? And I do think that that's going to be, in a way, that server thing basically do give certain creators an advantage, for sure, right?
To this perceived issue other than Wuthering Waves isn't going to die yet. And instead of like, I don't know, urging other gacha creators out there, both big and small, to give Wuthering Waves a chance, even
Okay.
if it means breaching whatever contracts they may or may not have had with Hoyo at the time, Saintontas simply divides the playing field into the Hoyo camp and the Wuwa camp, thereby feeding
Alright.
into the very same tribalism that may have influenced him to create content for Wuthering Waves in the first place. If you look at the rest of Saintontas'
Wow.
YouTube channel, just going off the thumbnails alone,
Then
you will
is that
see
Rex
that
then?
a lot of, even most of his early videos appear to be genuine Wuwa content, even if they are just run-of-the-mill, generic gacha slop,
Seems
carbon
fine.
copied from literally every other big gacha creator
Yeah, seems-
around
seems-
him.
seems
The
fine.
same creators who, by the way, he blasted earlier for feeding into Hoyo's apparently predatorial creator system. Sure, there are the expected Hoyo is trash videos sprinkled in here and there, but for the most part, I actually don't have a problem with a lot of his earlier content. It's hard to believe that someone like him is even capable of this, but some of his earlier videos are even ones that criticize Wuwa in certain aspects of the game. I even found this surprising little gem where he seems to actually compliment Zenless
What's good in Zenless Zone Zero? Damn.
Zone Zero.
So that was back
and
then,
see
eh?
what it does well
When it
to
first
figure
came
out
out.
what Wuwa could do better too.
Okay.
Too bad this video only ever got barely over 6,000 views, so hey, guess what Saintontas
Guess
will
what?
never do again. But by a certain
The
point,
views.
you begin to realize that his videos became more and more sycophantic over time to his own self-proclaimed Wuthering Waves agenda. The wording
Agenda.
he uses in his videos devolve from the stereotypical clickbait titles of other bigger CCs in the space into things like Wuwa ruined this, Wuwa ruined that, The devs are listening. Kuro is still listening. The listening never ends.
Listening.
I can't point to a single turning
So it becomes
point in them.
it
But
becomes
for
a glazing.
convenience's
Okay.
sake, I've decided to make this video in particular, titled "The Most Honest Devs in Gacha Gaming," a sort of starting point where the clown decided to finally cross the Wuthering Waves Rubicon. Up until now, he's only ever teased the tip of Wuwa's 5-inch dildo, but starting from that video forward, he's done with just teasing, bruh. Nah, now all 5 inches of that shit are going straight up his pussy, and the rest is history. Well, actually, not just his story, because Saintontas wasn't just taking the long shaft of Wuwa up his ass, he was also deep-throating someone else's dick like his name is Pinky Chew. Except unlike in her case, Saintontas here didn't consider it a form of sexual abuse. That someone else is John Robertson, better known on the internet as Tectone. I actually already made my own video talking about Tectone not too long ago, back when we first got the news that he lost his court case, detailing my own personal history with him, the beef we had briefly between the two of us that involved him making multiple videos slandering me and my content, and the reason why I think he too is an absolute cancer in the gacha space. Well, just an absolute cancer in general. So if you're interested, go watch that one first for more context. Link will be down in the description below, assuming of course that I don't forget to include it. If it's not there, then like just go to my channel under videos and it should be one of the more recent ones. It's kind of hard to miss with a thumbnail that looks like this. As far as their YouTube channels are concerned, the first time Tectone and Saintontas were on stream together was on December 7th, 2024. In this video on Tectone's channel called Calling Out the Hoyo and Kuro Shills, as if, you know, Tectone wasn't already a massive Wuwa dick sucker by this point.
Shills?
In a scene that looks very out of place these days.
In 2024,
in that video, you
guys.
see Fobmaster, Genozod, Pokey, Saintontas, and Tectone all sitting down together talking about gacha in one of Tectone's gacha podcasts that he used to do, at least back in the day, simply called the Gacha Cast. And a little over a week later, Saintontas, for his part, puts out another one of his own VOD rips as a standalone YouTube video titled The Problem with Content Creators, featuring Tectone himself and Braxophone this time. As a side note, I was browsing through this video real quick just to see if there was anything worth mentioning, and
that's so long
I stumbled across this.
My king! My king!
The king of Wuwa, dude.
Yeah, I could have played that. We gotta get you in a 1v1 versus Rex, but man.
Get Saintontas in a 1v1 with Rexlent? The Rexlent? As in this guy? The guy who made PGR videos so impressive that Kuro Games themselves know him and his content.
Well, I heard that Rexland moved away from Wuthering Wave. I'm not too sure, right? I haven't followed Rexland in a while. But from what I gather, he stopped playing Wuthering Wave for a while and he started playing some other games. Not too sure about that.
And flew him out to interview them directly
that's the Rexland,
and
right?
be on their opening live stream for Wuthering Waves before the game came out.
Damn.
Like the same Rexland who soloed a boss in Wuthering Waves in front of a live crowd at Kurofest last year? That guy? You want this pathetic excuse of a rat who's barely over 5 feet tall, who can't play any other gacha game outside of Wuthering Waves, to be in the same conversation as someone like Rex? Forget the same planet. Saintontas is not even in the same dimension as him. Why did Tectone even bother bringing Rexlent into this? Oh right, it's because of this.
I don't see tower stuff from him that often. He really likes holograms. That's what I've seen.
True.
Are you gonna
likes?
Yo, what are you laughing for, Tectone? Cause I'm willing to bet that at least Rexlent doesn't like to sexually abuse other people or you know, lose court cases for that matter, unlike your bald ass. And by the way, your new setup recently on stream seems awfully fancy for a trailer park. Where'd you get that money from anyway? Is Asmongold paying you good for sucking him off every night? Tell him to shove your face down further while you're at it. All that aside, officially the bald retard and the clown started interacting as creators together at around the end of 2024. And Saintontas at the same time. If you ask me, I think they've been in talks together since even before then, but I'll stick to what evidence we have before us. Saintontas, for his part, again, would go on to make 7 more videos basically filleting Tectone's micropenis. At least these are all the videos that I could find that has his name on it. There could be more, but This is all I can be bothered to mention. This would pay off handsomely for Saintontas though, as if you look at his Social Blade account, you can see that he enjoyed a huge surge in monthly gained subscribers following the videos that he, or I guess even Tectone, made that involved each other in some way. It's also during this time that Tectone more or less made Saintontas his right-hand man in Gacha. Their Wuwa agenda, their narrative pushing, and their mutual smearing of Hoyo and their games made them the perfect partners in crime. Tectone is the Skip Bayless to Saintontas' Stephen A. Smith, much in the same way that Skip and Stephen ruined the sports journalism landscape through their various shows like First Take on ESPN and its predecessors. Tectone and Saintontas have played a huge part in ruining the gacha landscape here in the West with their abysmal content that almost entirely focused on putting one gacha game on a shit-stained pedestal while also burning all the others on another copy of that exact same shit-stained pedestal. And in so doing, Saintontas, a barely 5-foot-tall tweaker masquerading as a clown, was elevated to a position that he should have never been allowed to occupy in the first place. And as a result, he received a huge influx of new subscribers and loyal viewers from Tectone, since they both did content in a very similar and toxic fashion.
I mean, they do collab a lot, right? Like, I'm not surprised if like 50% of the viewers from Saintontas and Tectone overlap, right? There's a high chance that that could happen, right?
And this kind of success either helped spawn even more creators like the two of them, gacha creators who would also begin propagating the Wuwa good and Hoyo bad agenda, just like them. Or if they themselves were already doing so even before the clown started deep-throating the Baldy, it encouraged them to double down on their own already toxic content structures as well. These creators include, or included, people like Glaive Keo, Ethan, Captain Cabinets, Lazion, Pharaohs, Shy Guy High, Legions Gaming, the Gacha DG2, and others. I'm sure the list goes on even further, it's just that those are the ones that I care to remember off the top of my head right now.
Do you guys know all of those creators? There's a lot of lists right there, right?
And therein lies the rat race.
The rat
race to see how much dog shit gacha content these creators, whom I call rats, can spray all over the gacha community. And by spray, I don't mean like a bunch of kids with like paint cans or something spraying graffiti on a wall. No, it's more like one of those nature docs where it shows a hippo projectile shitting itself or something.
Hippo shitting?
And the gacha rat pack took advantage of the initial gacha tribalism that first sprung up between Hoyo players, mainly Genshin, and Wuwa players back in the day. While they themselves may not have been the ones to strike the match to ignite it per se, they certainly fanned the flames or tossed more gas onto it with the same kind of intent that you'd find in an arsonist in the middle of California. They saw an easy way to make a name for themselves in the gacha space, in a community where most of its members have only been around for at most a little over 5 years, in a space where many people still do not know the fundamentals of how their own genre works. Hell, a lot of them don't even know what the gacha genre even is to begin with. It is so terribly easy for any fuck-ass con artist to invade this space and begin preaching one fake narrative after another for quick attention and handouts. Add to this a brand new sub-community who feels that they are under fire from another bigger, more established one, and I think you can see how the wildfire of gacha tribalism got out of control. These rats saw an opportunity to try to make it big in this space and, as Saintontas himself oh so eloquently put it in his own first video, they decided to make less rational decisions and begin pumping out the most brainless content I've ever seen in this space that's designed to provoke reactions, twist narratives, instigate drama, and continue to stoke the flames of conflict between various gacha player bases in the name of defending themselves or speaking the truth about gacha games.
I mean, if that's what they want to do, then fine, right? They're allowed to do that. But I feel like you know, at the end of the day, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know, I don't really take that personally if a content creator want to do that, right?
They may fancy themselves the good guys, that they're somehow, again, speaking the truth about gacha games, and that what
I mean, that's for everyone, right? Everybody is going to say that they're the good guy, right? Even if they are bad, they're going to say that they're the good guy. Like every bad person out there believes that they are the good guy, right? It doesn't really matter about that particular, like it doesn't matter what somebody thinks, right? At the end of the day, you know, it's just about, I think most people just want to gather, they're trying to gather followers, right? It's a social media after all, right?
Are doing is for the good of
So
the
that's what it
gacha
is.
space as a whole, while providing nothing of value to the overall community that they claim to be enriching. I've seen people defend them, saying that because they're
Defending
YouTubers
them.
and streamers,
Okay.
they're entertainers, so they're doing their job of entertaining. Perhaps that's rather fitting for a dude whose YouTube profile is quite literally a clown head. But entertainment value
Clown
is
head.
far from an
Damn.
adequate enough excuse to justify what these rats have been doing to the gacha space for the past year, perhaps even longer. Not only is there entertainment value, limited to Asmongold-esque or Hassan-esque mudslinging and finger-pointing, but this whole argument also just falls apart when you take one look at any of these rats' YouTube channels, and a concerning number of their videos are some flavor of mindless woo slop. That, and whenever I think about entertainment value
Slop.
in a gacha context, I don't know about y'all, but I think of like fan art, like fan animations or meme videos, not whatever the fuck this is. And besides, if you ask me, if they want a job in the entertainment industry, I think I know a more suitable place for them. They may hide
What?
behind
Why is there a
lame,
stripper club?
sheepish excuses like, oh, the Genshin
Okay.
player started it first, or oh, they want Wuthering Waves to fail, or Wuwa is the best gacha game, and if you don't like it, you don't like gacha games. But make no mistake, a lot of these rats are mere tourists who saw a chance to farm easy
Tourist.
engagement for themselves and jumped at it as soon as they saw that the
The
runway
T
was
word.
clear, in a kind of like content creator herd mentality or something. They do
Wow.
not care about you and your interest in gacha games, and they
True.
certainly don't care about gacha games as a whole or even as a genre. I'll throw this
Damn.
out there and say that they don't even care about Wuthering Waves itself either. At least
Don't
not
care.
as much as they let off. Because if they did, you would think that they would make more content on it rather than on other gacha games.
True.
But, well, that's not
True.
what you see a lot of
Right.
the time now, is it? Again, they're not enriching the space with valuable content that helps
I
people.
think it's about the views as well, right? Because like for Saintontas, probably he's attacking Arknight's Anfield because that's going to be during the moment where it's hot and when the video just came out. But of course, there's multiple different factors. But like making videos about Wuthering Waves, because there's only so much content you can make about one game, right? And I do think that that's generally going to be the issue that they run into.
With their own experiences with the gachas they play. And again, I really don't think the entertainment value argument really applies here. Maybe they tried to at first, but they certainly doing much, if any of that, at all these days. And they certainly are not engaging in what I would consider to be meaningful conversations or discussions that are helping to progress the gacha community in the right direction as a whole. Because hey, guess what?
The right
Drama
direction.
content is way more profitable. No,
Okay.
these rats are merely here to farm easy clicks and views from people who don't know any better about gacha games, or from people who are also merely here for the entertainment value, or in other words, because they love drama content above all else. Essentially, they are parasites, a cancer that slowly but steadily spread toxic narratives and poisonous content throughout the gacha space that in turn zombifies
Drama
both
draws
gacha
attention.
players and outsiders alike who
I
are
guess so.
susceptible to those narratives,
A lot of people
and
like
to
drama.
then employ them as more fodder to farm engagement from, and to defend itself from
Everybody
external
loves drama.
criticism and pushback. And what better way to demonstrate further what this looks like than to examine the behavior of the runt, the prince of rats himself, Saintontas.
Wow. What? Clown behavior. The dear leader. It's kind of ironic to talk shit about drama farming while Tuhu absolutely engages in this himself. This video itself included. That's true, right? Everyone engages in drama, whether you like it or not, right? I don't think there's anything wrong though, personally, right? If somebody wants to talk about drama, because like what is drama to someone could be something, could be entertainment to someone else, right? Because like you shouldn't really care about what somebody say, right? Generally. This applies to me as well, right? I don't really care too much because if you don't like the video, you can just not watch it, right? Let somebody else that likes the video watch it. It's always going to go both ways, right? even if you don't like something, somebody else is going to like it. And like, don't take it personally, right? Because if you don't like a content, then watch something that you like from the channel, I guess. Clown
and
behavior.
I'm hoping to see
what's
most,
this?
if not all of the things that I talked about immediately addressed in this March 1st live stream. I'm not going to be waking up for this shit, though, because I don't feel like being pissed off at 3 a.m. Yeah, I don't feel like being pissed off at 3 a.m. because I know this is going to be dog shit.
Oh boy, where exactly do we start, huh?
Dog shit. 3 a.m. Okay.
I guess we can start with what Saintontas was before he became a full-on gacha grifter. Again, you'll never guess this, but once upon a time, the clown used to be a Genshin Impact CC himself.
Wait,
it's like when The
really?
Rock was whatever this was before he became The Rock. While I
What
don't know what his previous channel was called on YouTube, assuming that he didn't just delete it entirely when he decided to go full retard with the Wuwa agenda pushing thing, what else can explain why his Genshin account, for some reason, has a C6 Alhaitham? What, did he think that by spending over $1,000 on him, he'd be even a fraction as smart as Alhaitham too? To take this one step further, allegedly the reason why Saintontas...
Wait, is that his account though? Because like, if he has C6 of a Genshin character, then that's kind of crazy though, right?
Turned heel against Hoyo was because he failed to get into their content creator program. If that's true, then all of a sudden the nature of his very first video that I discussed earlier, where he rambles about how Hoyo was trying to establish a predatorial creator system of some kind, makes a whole lot more damn sense, because it's literally him just bitching about how he himself wasn't able to become one of those preferred creators that he was complaining about. To be fair, I don't know how...
I like that theory. I think that theory is a very interesting one. So the reason why he hates Hoyo is because he couldn't get into the content creator program. I'm not sure if he has a separate channel for that, but again, it's not proven, but it is an interesting theory, right? Regardless, right? Because it's personal for him. It starts to make sense. If it's personal for him, then he's going to always take it personally and attack Hoyo all the way, right? For some people, that's always going to be the case, right? Like, that's how a normal human basically acts.
True that is, though. Again, the only thing we know for sure is that he did play Genshin at least a considerable amount,
okay, if
given
he did,
his C6 Alhaitham.
That could be the case.
So take that with a grain of salt. But at the very least, this lines up with what I said earlier about how a lot of ex-Genshin players who fell out of favor with that game flocked over to Wuwa because they saw it as the gacha game that would deliver them from the clutches of the evil Hoyoverse. So with that little appetizer out of the way, let's dive into the chunky-ass main course of the clown circus behavior, starting with the agenda pushing. In case I didn't make this clear enough by now, back in the setting the stage segment of this video, the circumstances surrounding Wuwa's launch back in 2024 created a perfect environment for people to capitalize on less savory content creation tactics. Rapidly growing tribalism between two rival communities of different big gacha games, the endemic lack of knowledge about gacha games and their fundamentals, and the emergence of the first big production major gacha game that wasn't being developed by Hoyo. Like, looking back on the situation, I think it should have been painfully obvious what could very well happen, especially when Saintontas himself was making these kinds of videos weeks before Wuwa even came out. So when it finally did come out,
so that was weeks before it came out.
The clown immediately began working on his 24/7 propaganda cycle. At first, starting off pretty tame, with character guides and a lot of the same early stage content that you can expect out of YouTubers when like a new big gacha first drops. But then steadily, over time, ramping that shit up towards full-blown pro-Wuwa narratives.
Nothing really feels cookie-cutter in Wuthering Waves, and every story feels different. But what if I told you that there was a company that did kind of like the opposite of that? What if I told you there was a company that literally did the opposite of creativity, the opposite of inspiration? Check this shit out right here, brother.
Wait, whose message?
Impacto.
What? Genshin Impacto?
Perhaps in the beginning, he still gave Hoyo some flowers, like in that one video that I mentioned earlier, where he actually praises Zenless in some ways. But it didn't take long for him to just drop the facade altogether and just shove his tiny little chode completely into the cogs of his own narrative pumping machine like he's some third-rate AI prompt. I guess it makes sense why he defended Glaive Kyo so much. I don't think I need to explain why this is a bad thing, but I did say at multiple points throughout this video so far that I don't think the gacha community at large knows enough about the very games they play, so allow me to anyway.
Damn.
There is no such thing
a lot of people don't know about the games they play.
Perfect gacha game. If that pops a few bubbles out there, then I'm not sorry. Saintontas is not wrong in the sense that the Hoyo gachas definitely have problems. They all have things about them that definitely need work. The Miliastra UGC mode in Genshin, Star Rail's power creep, Zenless's HP inflation. These are all things...
Gacha games will never be perfect, right? If you want a perfect game, you have to play single-player games. Gacha games will never be perfect. It will always mess up somewhere down the line because it's a live service game. There's going to be like an event or like a new system that will be introduced that you might not like. And this has happened to me multiple times before. Like if you play Counter-Strike or whatever, right? Like some games will add, okay, new level. Okay, now you got level 110. All right, before this was level 100. Okay, now we're going to add a limit break system. Okay, now you get a farm for this new currency, right? There's always going to be stuff. Nikkei is perfect. No, it's not. I don't like the, at least for me, right? I didn't like a lot of the systems that they introduced later on, right? I'm not a big fan of Nikkei's doll system. I feel like at the beginning, Nikkei was perfect. If they want to give buffs, they should give it for free instead of you farming favorite item and then you have to like stall there for years, right? And then I'm not a big fan of the surface content either, right? And let's be honest here, right? Do you think Nikkei's minigame are all the same? If I ask everyone right here that plays Nikkei, right? What is your favorite minigame? You're gonna say maybe you like emoji, right? Maybe you hate the numbers one. And that's fine though, right? It's okay to not like certain things. I don't know why people are so like scared or so like they are so like a centrist mindset that everything has to be like perfect for them, right? If they criticize one small thing, that means they dislike the game. That's not how it works. You can always like a game and you can always be critical of certain things that you might not like, right? I think it's okay to be like that, right? A lot of people are very like you know, they have this mindset that I cannot talk bad about my game at all. I either like this game or dislike this game. That's not how it works in real life. If you are like that, that means I'm talking to a fake person who only want to virtue signal all the time on the internet. Because a real person will always have criticisms, will always have things that they like and things that they dislike, right? That's just how it works in general, right? Toxic positivity is everywhere in gacha. The reason why is because there's a lot of kids in the space, and these kids, they put their personality behind these games. This was the only thing that they were thinking of, right? They like this game, so their personality surrounds that game. So it's like built around the game, right? So if criticizing the game indirectly criticizes themselves, right? It will make themselves look stupid. So I get it, right? In some cases, if you only play one game, I get it. That makes a lot of sense. But not for me though, right? Generally.
That he's complained about publicly in
kids, yeah, a lot of teenagers are play gacha games, man.
Probably should discuss seriously. That's just what it is. In order to address them properly. But he takes those problems and either blows them way out of proportion with the kind of language and rhetoric that would make him an excellent Korean dictator, probably of the northern variety, but hey, to be fair, the South also had quite a few of its own too over the years. Or he extrapolates completely wrong conclusions from them and then loudly trumpets those conclusions like they're the honest-to-God truth.
All the games are in the worst state they've ever been viewership-wise in the past 3 fucking months.
All
of
them
are in the worst state viewership and like search terms and engagement and algo-wise. The worst.
The worst.
In the past 3 months. And like I said before, guys, it's only going to get
What is that for?
And on the other side of his mental retardation spectrum, he glazes the absolute shit out of Wuthering Waves, almost always proclaiming anything that the game does is faultless and free of blame. And anything that the developers do, Kuro Game that is like God's gift to humanity, while conveniently ignoring whatever actual shortfalls the game has, or on the off chance that there actually is an issue with the game that's too big for him to ignore, he'll either hand wave it away or downplay it to make it seem like it's not that big of a deal.
This is the thing. I don't even like glaze the game that often, even close to anymore that I used to when the game was like super under attack like a year ago. They still say that I'm like mindlessly glazing it to this day. Because this is the thing, it's just a better game, and I simply don't critique it as much as other games because there's nothing to really critique. What? Oh, am I gonna go make a post about how the performance is dog shit in fucking Star Torch Academy? I could, but then the entire video would be in 10 FPS, right? So like that's why I just don't do it. I just say the performance is fucking terrible in that place for no fucking reason, and they tremendously fucked up 3.0 because of that. But otherwise, it's like, I mean, what else is there to really say is like bad?
Occasionally, he'll put out a video that on the surface looks like he's criticizing Wuwa. And I did say earlier that I give him the benefit of the doubt that his early Wuwa critique videos are probably genuine. But like at this point, I don't even know why he tries to pretend like he's genuinely trying to critique Wuwa these days when all of his videos around it on his channel look like this. He paints a one-sided, lopsided even, unfair picture of the big gacha landscape, constantly framing...
I think he did criticize the spending event, though, to be fair. I can't remember, right? I do think that when the Wuthering Wave had the spending event during the AMF patch, I think he did say something about it, but I'm not sure if he went as hard as people want him to be, right? Because he was very, like, definitely you can see him going very hard on, like, you know, ZZ. He went very hard on... He didn't? Well, I thought I just saw his his thumbnail there talking about, that was the one, right? The spending event. Devs listen. Did he not criticize at all? I thought I see a clip of him criticizing it, but he just didn't go in all on it. He did basically blame it on Hoyo, something along those lines, right?
Gacha games not named Wuwa in a bad light by claiming that Wuwa is ruining them somehow, while Wuwa itself can do no wrong. And whatever wrong it does happen to do can just be swept under the rug because it's no big deal.
Under the rug.
The few times he doesn't talk shit automatically on non-Wuwa gachas is either to keep pushing his anti-Hoyo agenda just a bit further, or if he's doing a sponsor. And just to be 100% clear here, it's not that I don't like it when people criticize gacha games. Like, I myself bitch about the shit that I don't like in them all the time too. On paper, I actually don't mind gacha creators whose sole purpose for their channels is to point out problems that they see with the gacha games they play. For example, if in a different timeline, Saintontas never had his agenda-pushing tendencies, didn't harass other content creators, which we'll get to soon, and did a better job of more fairly judging Wuwa as a gacha, I actually wouldn't have like that big of a problem with him. At least not to the extent that I feel the need to drop a video like this on his dumb ass. He can keep glazing Wuwa as like the best gacha ever. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions about which gacha they think is the best. As long as he acknowledges that Wuwa itself ain't perfect either. He can keep...
I feel like even Styx does that though, right? But nobody goes as hard on Styx. But I do think that there's a lot of different issue that comes with it, because Saintontas also go for other content creators, right? But Styx don't really do that. I've never seen Styx make a video of other content creators as well. So that's probably going to be this stuff, right? Yeah, on Saintontas' side, he's he's talking the truth, but he generates clicks with his hate videos, is true. I mean, it's fine if you want to be on his side, right? Like, again, that's fine. At the end of the day, you know, whether you're Saintontas hater or lover or whatever, right? I don't think you should basically look at it that way though. You should always try to... You shouldn't agree with someone all the way or disagree with someone all the way. You should look at what they say. The message is the one that's important. You shouldn't hate someone. I think a lot of people on the internet, when they hate somebody, they just hate them all the way. Or where they like someone, they just like them all the way. This is not going to be the case, right? In general, like in most human communication, right? Or like human interaction, you're not going to always agree with someone 100%, right? For example, like let's say with the Tectong thing, right? I think a lot of people like blindly hate him or blindly like him regardless of whether he did it or not. The truth is we don't really know, right? That's just going to be, you know, all of this case, right?
Pointing out the problems with Hoyo's gachas as well.
A bad vibe is always a bad person.
As long as he tries to provide solutions that are at least
that's not how it works though, right?
Well thought out and acknowledges the things that Hoyo also does well. Instead, all he does is shit like this.
Probably one of the best patches in the history of the game, bro. And I don't think one spending event that has some of the most lukewarm rewards I've ever seen, I don't think that's going to do anything too crazy.
Earlier, I likened Saintontas to Stephen A. Smith. That's because the format I used for this video is directly inspired by another YouTube video that I watched recently, called the Stephen A. Smith Hater Manifesto, made by a basketball YouTuber by the name of Rusty Buckets. When I was watching that video for the
I didn't know Atuhu is into basketball. That's kind of crazy, right? But
time, I realized
that's the hobby.
Quite a few things that Rusty was talking about
I don't know who that is, actually.
criticizing Stephen A. Smith in his own
I don't watch
video
basketball, right?
also perfectly applies to Saintontas and a lot of the shit happening in the gacha space too. And perhaps none more so than this segment right here.
Now in politics, in the media, in our hellish 24/7 news cycle, the facts don't matter, just how you can spin them. If you say the right series of words in the right way, anything can be the truth. If you're a well-spoken, confidently wrong
I do
guy,
agree with that.
then you can own some unprepared good faith opposition. And then your perspective is the truth now to some people just because you came off more compelling. It's sophish.
Because most people want to hear you. A lot of people, like, on the internet, they seek validation. That's the most important thing that they care about. And the truth is, it doesn't matter what the truth is to most people, right? I feel like, for me, I care about the truth, but I don't think 90% or 80 to 90% on the internet of people care about what's true and what's not true. Even if something is not true, they will try to believe or try to spin a narrative, right? For example, like, can men get pregnant, right? We all know what the truth is. But there are some wokies out there, they would never admit that. And you can never argue with these people. Like, you can never find, because this is something that they believe in, right? It doesn't matter about gender, about pronouns, about anything, right? It doesn't really matter. Because a lot of people, they already have made up their mind before that going into the conversation, right? So you can never convince them otherwise. So when it comes to this, it's always going to be the issue that you see a lot. I don't think it's specifically the internet though. You will see that in real life as well, right? You will see that in real life as well. There's always going to be people that, you know, how many of you guys have met somebody that's like very religious, for example, or he has like very strict rule, very strict view of the world on certain things, right? Maybe some people are sensitive to certain numbers, for example. They believe that this number is bad luck. They believe that this number is good luck. It's not based on logic. It's always based on like what they believe or how they perceive things, or could be like passed down from generations, right? This is something that has happened for years, for centuries, and it will always happen, right? Not everybody is there for what's true. Some people are just there because they want to hear what other people say so that they can basically form their own group. This is where tribalism comes from, right? Basically find their own group that, sends that signal call, hey, we are thinking the same, right? And I do think that this is what you see a lot on the internet.
It's ugly,
whether you like it or not.
It ends lives, sometimes even during a debate. Politics isn't about what's right, it's about who's dunking on each other harder with their sick memes and rhetorical skills.
This is not unique to politics,
personally,
right?
With Stephen A. Smith
it's not unique
and
to politics.
The general sports journalism landscape, so I can't say if he's got any agendas or narratives that he's trying to push right now, or may have done so in the past.
Pushing agendas, guys.
Saintontas most definitely is. And at the very least, even if for whatever reason you want to try and argue that the clown isn't either somehow, the two of them, without a doubt, share the absolutely nauseating trait of talking shit and spreading corrosive discourse about their respective interests for money. Even if Saintontas himself isn't raking in like tens of millions doing what he does like Stephen A is apparently.
Tens of millions.
Again, looking at his Social Blade stats, it's certainly more than most other creators make in the space. And clearly, he has a vested interest in keeping it this way so he can keep doing this shit for a living. Content creators in their mid-20s who've never held a corporate job in their lives? Alright, buddy. Projecting much? And because he has such a deep stake,
maybe he has,
5
how to
feet
say
up
for
his
sure,
ass in doing what he does so that he's not forced to touch grass and preferably a job application while he's at it. And given his affinity for creating drama, forging narratives, and pushing agendas, it should not surprise you at all to learn that this opportunistic rat and his endless bottom-feeding scavenging for content will go to questionable and utterly distasteful lengths to get it.
That goes. Now, that being said, Saintontas does obsess over Genazad a little bit too much.
He's a cunt.
Let me phrase that. He obsesses him over him way too much.
Because he's a massive cunt.
Because Genazad...
Wait, who is he talking about? He's talking about Genazad, right? I'm not sure about the drama between both of them. I know they both don't like each other or something. Maybe like it's just Saintontas don't like Genazad or something. But yeah, it definitely has been going for a while. It's been going for a while, man.
He's like a harmless guy.
I'm not gonna lie. We need some better content creators real soon. Oh wait, we already have good ones. We already have good ones.
Okay.
Like ALG needs to start playing Wuthering Waves. I don't know why he refuses to. ALG literally needs to start playing Wuthering Waves. I'm not even joking. Like, if he doesn't start playing at least during the anniversary, he is making a terrible mistake. He doesn't like open world. Then tell him to pay somebody to pilot his account. One of my viewers will pilot his account for like $5 a month. Like, if he buys them a Lunite subscription, they'll pilot his fucking account, bro. Like he needs to he can play just for the end game and shit like that and the holograms. Mr. Pokey still hasn't read
pilot account. Okay, who wants to do our account piloting, guys? Our account piloting is very important. $5 in this economy. $5 not per week, per month. Damn, $5 per month. Yeah, maybe I'm not surprised. Right? Maybe somebody would just take it, right? People can cross-check the context. You can give all the context in slides. Okay, what's this specifically for?
Simon's doc yet? Oh, I'm glad you're supporting of that though, bro. Hey, screenshot this, send it to Poke. His chatters are saying he's running away from Simon's doc. Guys, screenshot it. Pokey's chatters are saying he's running away from Simon's doc.
Running away. Ben. Okay, clown behavior part 2. The files. This is the important part, right? This is the files, all right? We are getting into it.
I compared Saintontas to that fat-ass Kim Jong-un in the last segment, so that's probably a good way to start this chapter. The way the clown conducts himself in front of his audience
is not even halfway. We're not even halfway there, guys.
Is like that of a dictator.
Okay.
Not very surprising,
long video.
given
Very
who
long
his
video.
main mentor and benefactor was. So it also shouldn't shock you to know that Saintontas' content is quite literally propaganda. I've spent a lot of this video explaining to you why or how so far, so I think you get the point by now. But there are other ways in which Saintontas dispenses his propaganda beyond just the usual, woo-a good, hoyo bad circle jerking. You've heard me call the clown and other dog shit creators like him rats. I don't know how widespread that term is by now, as in I don't know how many other gacha CCs in this space have also been referring to the woo-a agenda pushers as rats as well. But I certainly find it quite curious that Saintontas himself has recently been using that exact same term for his own narratives. Like in this video on December 2nd, 2025. Oh, by the way, hey look, it's me. I wonder what I'm doing there.
He's pathetic.
In yet another hit piece against Genazad, Saintontas uses the word rat to describe Jenna. Given that Saintontas also reacts to and charts out videos about my own content, as you can clearly see here, I'd venture a guess to say that the clown has heard me call him and his kind rats for so long and so often that he's decided to use it for himself because he's just that petty. And that certainly wouldn't be the last time he uses the term rat for his own twisted narratives, as this video on January 17th, 2026
lying rats. Who is this? Mr. Poke? Genazad? And Perlika? Damn. Disgusting.
Where he attacks both Pokey and Genazad for some dumb shit reason that I can't be bothered to find out at the moment. There's also this one on February 14th, 2026.
The fear of losing. Content removed by Mr. Poke. Okay, this one is the copyright strike thing, I think. I think this one is the copyright strike stuff,
where
right?
he goes after Pokey specifically, as he's done many times in the past, calling him a cornered rat this time.
Cornered rat,
I have been calling people like him, Saintontas that is, not Pokey, rats for the past year. Pretty much ever since I decided to take up the mantle of speaking out against rat creators like them.
I remember Tuhu also has drama with Mr. Poke last time. I can't remember what specifically, right?
You may see some rats down in the comments below, or some bigger rats reacting to this video later, call me shit like the god of beggars and the god of unemployment, thanks to this bald-ass retard. But like the pieces of trash you find out on the streets, you can just kick them aside and ignore them for now. We'll come back to them later.
What happened to those body pillows?
He's appropriated, or is...
Wait, did he sell all the body pillows? He used to have a lot of them.
Trying to appropriate
5
the
body
term
pillows.
rat in an attempt to steer its meaning in the gacha context at least away from what it was originally. Not like this is the first time this has ever happened to me though. Tectone has also tried calling himself the God of Gacha despite slandering me for calling myself the exact same thing. Yeah, I think I'll just stick to calling him the god of losing court cases instead. Another more subtle form of propaganda that I'd like to point out that he employs, given how hard he's been going against Enfield lately ever since that game came out, is that he has made videos actually supporting Arknight's Enfield before in the past year. Videos like the Enfield Doom posting is out of control. Arknight's devs saved Enfield. Hoyo Shills are sabotaging Enfield. They fixed everything. Enfield Doom posters are crashing out, and Enfield second beta is absolutely unreal. So why is it that when Enfield finally launches...
So back then he was a big fan. He was a big fan. He was an Enfield big fan back then. So what changed though, right? What has changed? I have a feeling it could be because he didn't get sponsored. Maybe other CCs get sponsored, but he did not get sponsored. He makes so many glazing Enfield videos, but he did not get sponsored. So it's like personal, right? It's like personal. Oh shoot, I basically say everything good about Enfield and I didn't get sponsored. So I think it just twists around, right? He just switched around.
Saintontas does a hard 180 on his attitude towards the game.
360.
Again, look at all the Enfield content on his channel starting from this point forward. But if you don't want to, I understand, so I'll do it for you.
Okay.
Ever since the game launched, the clown has made around 41 videos that either mention Enfield directly in their titles or feature it in their thumbnails. And except for like 2 of them, and those are those fake-ass apology videos that I mentioned the clown likes doing every now and then as his pathetic attempt to be a more fair creator, if you can even call it an attempt.
So he was faking it?
Every single one of those videos is one where he trash talks Enfield directly or indirectly by going after a creator playing Enfield.
I have never seen such tone-deaf communication, lack of accountability, and lack of actual meaningful response for one of the worst situations we've ever seen in the fucking space.
This is the
worst release I think anyone has ever seen in the gacha space before. Once you're done with the factory...
Worst release. Worst release in the gacha space. Even, what about Star Sailor, right? Maybe like nobody knows that game, right? I'm not talking about Star Savior, by the way. I'm talking about Star Sailor. What about Black Beacon? Does he play Black Beacon? I'm sure if he plays Black Beacon, he would acknowledge that Black Beacon release was worse than Arknight's Enfield. A little bit worse. What about Tribe 9? What about Wuthering? Okay, Wuthering is too personal. He wouldn't admit it, right? So it's a bit too personal. Alright? He likes the game but hates everything the gacha and all of that. Well, I'm not sure about that though, right? How do you know that he likes the game but hates everything the gacha and all of that? You get what I'm saying? Like how do you actually know this? Just because he say it? Because he say he likes the game, so you believe him, is it? Like, you shouldn't believe anyone because here's the thing, right? I have one rule on the internet. Doesn't matter on internet or on real life. You don't listen to what someone say. You look at what they do. Action speaks louder than... There's a rhetoric for this, right? Action speaks louder than words. I'm sure you guys have heard of it before. It doesn't matter what somebody say. What they say don't matter. What matters is their action. That's going to be what matters. Alright? If somebody say that this game is the best game ever, but they are level 2, you know it's fake. You know it's fake, right? If somebody say this game is the worst game ever, but they barely play past the tutorial, how can you trust that person? So it's so obvious, right? You shouldn't just listen to someone. Never just listen to someone, right? Always look. Like you gotta learn to see and read. And I understand it's difficult. I understand it's difficult, right? Again, right? You gotta learn to read and see. This applies to me as well. I'm talking about myself as well, right? It's not just about if I tell you that this game sucks or that game is good, but if I don't play the game, does it matter what I say, right? So that's just a thing, right? So with all of this stuff,
once you're done with the map, once you're done with whatever, this game is literally a bigger chore than Genshin.
Chore.
The Genshin daily gameplay loop is literally better.
I'm beating a dead horse here, aren't I?
I'm not sure if that's true, right?
This is just shit. This is just literal AI slop. This is garbage that no company should be producing and even thinking about putting in their game. They don't double check anything. It looks like garbage. And like the entire...
I think he's talking about the crafting event, if I remember correctly. There was some player complaining about the AI stuff, right?
Thing just comes off as a sick joke to the community.
How do you go from broadly supporting this game during the last year or so leading up to its release to then incessantly farming drama content on or about it? How do you go from talking shit on a guy like Toboro?
This guy is one of the biggest PR disasters I've ever seen for a game before. And
Damn.
I'm just going to be honest. The fact that he has enough pull to get this many viewers while talking so much absolute fucking nonsense and having the most constrained, bullheaded, absurd viewpoints on gaming and enjoyment and development and like all of that is just one of the most absurd things I've ever seen.
To then becoming one of those very same doom posters about the game that you criticized before. Did Enfield's gacha system break your midget-ass brain so badly to the point where now you just think it's another Hoyo game? Yo, Saint, you want to show us where the big bad Enfield touched you? Did they and the other Hoyo games like shove a paper bag over your head and take you to a secluded island somewhere? Because like that's the general vibe that I get from this oversized rat with the way he is absolutely obsessed with farming Enfield drama videos for basically the entire past month. Because if not, the only other ways that I see Saintontas justifying this particular dog shit content pipeline of his is either because he thinks that Enfield has grown enough to the point where it's become a popular alternative to WUA, and thus perceives it as a potential threat to Wuthering Waves' own well-being, or because he's just chasing the bag of shit disguised as a carrot of the usual drama slot.
I think probably it's the views, right? If I have to guess, probably like, again, you know, if he wants to do it, that's fine. If that video generates a lot of views, he's probably going to keep doing the same. But I'm not too sure, right? I think some of his Wuthering Waves also generate quite a lot of views, so I'm not too sure why he need to shit on Enfield specifically.
Content that he also loves shoving down his own throat whenever he's not gobbling up Tectone's own chode, like the good little 5'1" cocksleeve that he is. Regardless of his reason, Saintontas appears to prop up a gacha game just to turn against it in the manner that he has. To be fair, he doesn't do this all the time. Like, for example, I don't recall him being this retarded towards Duet Night Abyss back when it first came out. I'm sure he's probably made 1 or 2 trash-talking videos.
Duet Night Abyss is in trouble. This unit breaks the game. Duet Night Abyss. Okay, this was like when it first... So he likes Duet Night Abyss when it first came out, right?
About it, but he hasn't done it incessantly to this extent. And if he had limited his Enfield trash videos, drama videos, whatever you want to call them, to like 1 or 2 a week, then I just chalk it up to him just being a hater towards anything not named WUA in general. Like,
that's what it is,
what a surprise. You know, the clown doesn't like a gacha that's not WUA. Haha, the clown's doing clown things again. Ha, oh you. But 41 videos in a month.
Damn. That's a lot.
Huh? What the fuck are you? A jealous ex who constantly gang stalks people like your name is Seth Zintak in an autistic detective game?
Who is that?
All those videos about a gacha not
41
named
videos.
Zenless Zone Zero, not named Honkai Star Rail, not even named Genshin Motherfucking Impact. No, they are all about Arknight's Enfield. What I take away from this is that the clown no longer is simply a Hoyo hater. No, he just hates gacha games in general.
Damn.
The only reason why he clings
Hating
on to
gacha
WUA
games
is to pretend like he's a gacha creator. So that way, he can still have a foot in the door and keep farming the gacha space for views and money. with his public bathroom floor ass content.
Damn.
He's the equivalent of those gender politics maxers or other various insufferable virtue signalers you find no shortage of.
I mean, that's what it is,
Twitter.
right?
Because when
A
your
lot of people do
opinions
that.
are that
Forced to
dog
do
shit
gacha.
and have zero substance to them, you naturally turn to propaganda and narrative spinning to make your arguments seem more compelling. He thrives off of low-hanging.
Damn, is Saintontas a Wookiee? Damn. Hard to say, right? Maybe it's true.
Moral bait
Maybe
issues about gachas
right?
that should not be
Okay.
as big of a deal as they are by
This man is
sensationalizing
full of
them
hate.
beyond any semblance of
Okay, but who is more hateful though? The person that makes 41 videos hating on Arnax Enfield, or this guy that makes one video hating on that guy that did that? I mean, like at the end of the to be fair, this is a 2-hour video. I get it, right? But at the same time, it's hard to say as well, right? Because unless you go and watch all 41 of that videos that hating on Arnax Enfield, then probably like you'll get a much more fair gauge.
Restraint. And then he uses their sensationalized natures to lubricate the throats of his drama-loving viewers to then shove his own chode of dog shit videos and streams down them. Because, like, if he acts this way towards Enfield, right, what is to stop him from doing this exact same shit
to other
towards
games,
other
right?
gachas in the future?
Yeah, he would definitely do that,
I
right?
mentioned earlier that
I think he would
already
definitely do
made
that.
a more recent video that praises NTE, which is an
NTE?
upcoming GTA-like gacha game that
NTE is the
will
next target?
likely launch sometime this year if their most recent closed beta
Who is ready?
go by. Rumors say that it's supposed to launch around May 18th, but take that with a grain of salt.
Wait, no, I think
Anyways,
it's April.
So when it does,
So NTE
right,
is going to be the next
is
one.
he
40 videos.
gonna go on yet another 41 drama video streak like he did
Damn,
with
41
Enfield,
is a lot.
but this time slandering NTE when that
Slandering
game comes
NTE.
out too? Since I don't know where else I should mention this, here you go.
So we'll see how it is,
Saintontas
right?
is also probably botting his own stream.
Okay.
Judging by these Twitch tracker analytics, his stream starts, and then at some point he gets a spike in viewers just out of nowhere, and his view count stays that way until towards the end of his streams or something.
Wait, so he's been accusing of view botting now? I'm not too sure how to look at this, but this graph seems...
This third chart shows his bots like crashing halfway through before coming back online. And
so the bot's crashing halfway through. So the viewers is high, and then boop. And then, to be fair, it could be bots crashing, or it could be just Twitch having like a specific like issue, right, on their server end. I'm not sure if it's like you can basically blame it on bot.
These aren't stream
unless there's like a lot
either,
of different
because the way
data
they work is
that
that
points to
they
that.
give a boost in viewers to a streamer at first, but then most people from a raid will leave rapidly after the raid happens or finishes.
So talking
and
about
we
raid,
see that Clown's streams retains most, if not all, of those viewers for a long time.
This one is kind of suspicious though. Like, let's say somebody came into the stream, right? So somebody raided his stream, he get a lot of viewers, right? Let's say he get raided, and then they watch for a while, and then they all leave suddenly at the same time. Like, I feel like this one is like, the way this graph works is very weird. Yeah.
Would you look at that? Tectone has also botted his own streams before too. I wonder if there's a correlation here. But the single biggest problem that I have with that fucking clown is his deranged behavior towards other creators.
Okay.
At first, they started off as your typical drama videos, you know, the ones you'd expect out of a drama grifter like him. But then they started encroaching onto the territory of like weird and personal shit before fully mutating into just straight up borderline psychopathic rhetoric and behavior. There are just way too many instances to fully list here, so I'll just go over the ones that I happen to remember, and I'll dump whatever clips that I happen to find in editing towards the end of this chapter so y'all can see just how fucking psychotic this dude is. As mentioned before, Genazod is a frequent target of the clowns, despite Genazod himself also being a Wuwa main, as out of the big four gachas before Enfield came out, Wuwa was the only one that he played regularly, and yet that hasn't stopped Saintontas from attacking him time and time again. For example, he's called Genazod a pedophile for pulling S6 Rosia.
No wonder he S6 Rosia.
But what's wrong if he wants to
S6
S6 Rosia?
10 drama where Genazod went viral on Twitter or something for ranking.
Wait, why can't you S6 Rosia? Is she bad or something? I'm sure there's a reason, right? Maybe she's like extremely good or broken. I'm not sure.
Story chapter and Wuwa
I never
back
look into
in
S
Septimont or so.
S,
I forget
duplicates.
exactly which one. A mere 7 out of 10.
I gave this story a 7 out of 10. But
7?
people think 7 out of 10 equals bad, but that's what they're misunderstanding. 7 out of 10 is not a bad score. 5 out of 10 is like meh or average, right? 7, I think
above
is
average.
like, that was a good story. I liked it. It was good, right? An 8, I think is like, that was great. A 9 is like, that was incredible. A 10 is that's a masterpiece. I think somewhere around a 7 or maybe a tiny bit above, I think that's fair. I think that is fair.
While, if I recall correctly, Jenna technically had already gone viral for it before the clown decided to barge in like a fucking 5'1" Kool-Aid man. He certainly
got attacked because of that.
By
7 out of 10,
throwing an
guys.
entire tanker's worth of gas onto the situation
Guys, 7
and
out of 10
farming the drama
got
at
attacked because of that.
Genozod's expense.
The only reason why you're having comments in your comment section about not understanding the story is because you yourself said it in the video. But we have gone ahead and we have blamed the entire community. We have we have literally manufactured this Kurobot in our own mind. We have manufactured a Kurobot and are saying that they're the ones responsible for saying we don't understand the story when that's literally what was said in the video.
What?
Like, I'm gonna be honest, this is like falling down, right? Scraping your knee and then saying, thanks, Obama.
And now that Enfield is out and Genozod has been playing that game regularly too, it should come as no surprise that the clown has put his crosshairs over his ass yet again. Mr. Pokey is also another frequent target of his, especially in recent times, though their beef actually dates back to a year ago as well, apparently because of
drama
the
from
Caster's
back
global
then.
passive drama that happened during Honkai Star Rail's 2nd anniversary, in which Tectone and other creators, including Saintontas, peer pressured Pokey into not pulling for Castorus like they were, hazing him at a college fraternity or something.
If you want to pull Castorus, you can pull Castorus.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, pull him.
However,
Castorus.
if you are saying that Castorus' global passive is bad for the game state,
global passive,
and that upsets you, and you don't think it's good that the company's doing that, you shouldn't pull her.
What?
From what I understand, Pokey at first dueled with Saint...
Wait, who pulled for Castorus? Guys, if you pull for Castorus, you shouldn't pull her. What do you mean you pull for Castorus, man? Global passive?
Tontas in making drama content against
guys,
each other
hit
last
on
year,
guys.
going back and forth and back and forth.
Global passive, nothing burger.
Backed off first and
global
asked
passive, guys. Do you guys remember back then? Global
and
passive.
As you might expect, Saint Tontas did not reciprocate. Instead, spending the next year
don't pull, alright? Don't
constantly
pull. The next global passive, don't pull. I don't see anyone pulling.
No pun intended. Only recently himself has Pokey gone nuclear over the clown. Perhaps in part thanks to Skull CJ's counter videos targeting
CJ's drama video.
And that's made Saintontas finally fulfill his parasocial drama farming quota, as you may have seen in recent times. Certainly for now, Pokey is in the hot seat as well as the clown's primary target for drama content with no less than 9 videos.
Wait. Skull CJ, failure. Oh, idiot. The title of the video? Idiot. Okay, no wonder Skull CJ and him have so big drama. You can't just put the title of the video, idiot, full stop. And then in the thumbnail, failure, full stop, right? Victim, full stop. AMF saved Wua. The best. Mr. Poke gave up, right? Mr. Poke gave up. So that's what it is.
With Pokey's face on his thumbnails in less than 2 weeks.
Wait, there's drama with Gigak? The worst sponsor ever, really? I didn't know there's a drama with Gigak. Isn't Gigak a Wuthering Wave lover? But yeah, that's a separate. I hired H3H3's lawyer.
But perhaps the most surprising development in the Saintontas files is his newfound beef with Captain Cabinets. You'll recall that I mentioned her name like once or twice, maybe 3 times so far in this video, as one of the rat creators who also pushes the Wuwa agenda in an acidic, corrosive manner.
Do not call her the F word. The FAT. You cannot say that, right? You cannot say that. I don't want to see anyone saying that, right? Like, hopefully he doesn't call, like, hopefully the real picture is not exposed right here, right? Because it's too much, right? You cannot do that.
Boy, does it certainly
look like... And Saintontas call her Brock Lesnar. You cannot call Brock Lesnar. Okay, no, you don't call Brock Lesnar. You don't call a woman Brock Lesnar, right? I think that's too much. If you call her a woman, like, maybe like a... I don't even know, right? Like John Cena, I guess it's fine. But Brock Lesnar, I think it's too much.
If you go see what her own YouTube channel looks like, I mean, do you see why I call them a rat pack? Because holy fuck, man, the only difference I see between her channel and the clowns is like a different font for the text on her thumbnails, and that's it.
Same.
Do you think the Wuthering Waves spending event would be so fucking bad? Do you think the Wuthering Waves spending event would be one of the worst goddamn things in the space?
The only thing that I really took mega issue with was Honkai Star Rail.
Oh shoot, she got exposed. Her face is now on the screen, right? Because usually nobody knows how she looks like.
They did the whole castress thing in global passives because that's real power, right?
Real power.
Like that's real power to an account, and I was like, that's a level I don't want to keep going down. That seems dangerous.
So my understanding is.
So are they saying the global passive is good? It's real power, right? Plagiarism, hating. I'm not sure, right?
Saintontas and Cab were historically, for the most part, cool with each other. Like, they both push the WUWA agenda, fabricate narratives about Hoyo games, and make reactionary drama-based content for their videos and streams. I've heard that Saintontas has also even assisted her with managing her own YouTube channel, though I'm not aware of the finer details on that specifically. Point is, they are comrades in arms in their whole digital crusade against the big bad Hoyo.
Comrades in arms.
Or at least they were supposed to be. And yet, here we are, with the two of them now beefing with each other.
Drama with each other?
Unlike those chronic drama-baiting retards, I don't obsessively glue my eyes onto like other creators whom I don't like just to glean any morsel of react content from literally any wrong word they say.
You gotta do that though. Right?
I don't know what caused this incident between them. Like,
Same
I think
glasses?
some of my viewers may have told me what was going on, but I've forgotten them since. But I bring this up to show how completely off the rails the clown has become.
Interesting.
While I obviously don't condone him going after anyone, at least with Pokey, I can see why. Like, Pokey is mainly a Hoyo content creator, as his main gacha game
Hoyo
is
content
Star
creator?
Rail. Genazad makes a little less sense, but sure, okay, maybe Jenna doesn't adhere well enough to what Saint...
Okay, what's the reason, guys? Pokey makes sense because Pokey is Hoyo, right? But why Genazad? Does Genazad play a lot of Hoyo games?
Tontas believes a true WUWA creator should be. Or
Wuwa
because like
creator.
those virtue signalers on Twitter that I mentioned before, Saintontas simply cannot help himself when it comes to talking about little anime girls.
Is this real? Yeah,
so
it's
it's
real.
got like the straps. It's got like basically, again, you don't find skirts shorter than this in real life. That's basically not even like a thing, right? And then
That's the point. That's the point. You don't find skirts like this in real life. That's the point. So let it be in games then. This is not real life. We're talking about game here, right? So you see like a lot of wokies, right? I don't know if Saintontas is a wokie. A lot of wokies, they always bring it back to real life. Oh, in real life it's like this. In real life it's like that. In real life, you cannot kill people. Of course, in real life, you cannot kill people. That's why you play games. That's the whole point. Like, why are people always bringing... It's always back to real life, man. Like, there's no logic about this. Like, why do people want games to be the same as real life? That would be so boring, man. Imagine if games is like real life. Okay, you go to work. Oh, you go home, you do gardening. Is it gardening simulator, is it? Like, you can't shoot people. You can't do any crimes in games. Like, what's the point? Like, the whole point of you playing games is because it's not in real life.
School backpack.
It's a Wookiee mindset, man.
Like, holding it by the very top of the straps literally looks like something that like actual elementary schoolers do as they're like walking back and forth.
But Captain Cabinet?
Dude, even I use backpacks, man.
Like, she was one of your own,
real life.
dude.
Okay.
As funny as this is for me to say, given how this entire video's been like so far, bruh,
you can't
she
believe
was
these people are
down there
serious.
in the
They are very
trenches
serious.
grifting WUWA content with you.
Okay.
Her own first video was within a week of yours.
Okay.
The two of you helped Tectone pressure Pokey into not pulling for Casterus last year. Both of you even slandered me personally in the past. And now this is how it ends between the two of you? As much as I abhor
So they both pressured Pokey to not pull for Casterus, right? Now I understand don't pull for Casterus because global passive, right? But the Pokey pull for Casterus though. I think in the end Pokey did it, right? Pokey pull for Casterus and they both fall out, right? So that's just going to be what it is, right?
rats, their behavior and their content.
If you don't
in this
pull for
space,
Casterus,
I don't know, man.
Account
I
ruin,
consider
man.
this
How can
beef
you still
out
play
of
the
the
game?
many beefs that
Global
the clown
passive,
has had
baby.
over the past year or so to be by far the most miserable. Like, it's just sad to see, man. It's one thing to attack those whose interests and opinions are clearly opposed to yours, but it's another one entirely to attack those who either should share or have shared the same ones as you.
He didn't pull for Castories?
And for what? A couple of more drama videos that now you can just jerk off onto your own
he should
YouTube
just
channel?
pull, right?
Not like you have a fucking short.
Never let anyone gaslight you into not doing something. If it's something that you enjoy, why would you care about what somebody... Like, Poki should just do it, man. I don't know if Poki actually pulled for Castories or not, but I feel like if it's for me, if I like the game, why would I let somebody gaslight me into not liking something that... Like, it doesn't even make sense, right? Like, if Tecton was Mr. Poki's friend, right? If Tecton was his true friend, he would have let Poki pull for Castories, right? Because, like how many of you guys, if you're friends with someone, you will let them enjoy what they do? Like, for example, I have a friend that smokes cigarettes, right? Even though everybody knows smoking is bad for you, right? It's like bad for your health. But I'm not gonna go, hey, you shouldn't smoke, right? I would just say, hey, if you can, you should try to minimize smoking a little bit, right? Try to reduce, the cigarettes that you consume. But I wouldn't just say you shouldn't do this, right? Or else we're not gonna be friends anymore. Because, like, I think at that point you're no longer seeking friendship. You're trying to want the person to be slavery, right? Slavery is dead, right? It's no longer a thing. So I feel like we should let slavery die, right? Unless people want to bring it back,
videos of all
right?
things. So I think this should demonstrate to you beyond any shadow
Fake
of a
friend.
doubt
Fake
precisely what kind of creator Saintontas really is, if he even deserves to be called a creator by this point.
Creator.
While I am morbidly curious as to how these two exactly
put on
fell out
free
with
to
each
play
other, frankly, that's irrelevant here, because the far more relevant point is that Saintontas seems to chase that drama bag that he loves so much, so hard, that he'll even throw his own friends under the bus too, if that means that he can milk just a bit more content for...
But are they friends though, right? Are they actually friends? Because, like, I think a lot of content creators are... I'm not sure, right? This is the last thing that I can even... I should be the last person to listen to about friends because I don't have any friends, right? But at the same time, right, I'm not sure if these content creators are actually friends. They are actually true friends with each other. Maybe they have met each other in real life like once or twice. But can you call that a friend, right?
Wretched YouTube channel. Oh shit, I wonder where he learned that from too. To close out this segment, I can list a few more deranged things that he's done, like that whole bit he did about Fob Master's IRL wife.
Hey, Fob, next time you try to height shame me, I'm gonna bring Lily into it. You won't like that one, bucko. Hey, you talk about my height, I'll talk about our girlfriend.
And his tendency to demand other creators to remove their content if it has anything in them that makes him, the clown that is, look bad. Take this video down within 24 hours or we're gonna have problems, and then calls people bucko like he's straight out of a Looney Tunes cartoon. And he's gone...
What does bucko even mean, guys? What does bucko even mean? Is it like... Also, like, I feel like you shouldn't... The thing is, like, you shouldn't try to, like, bring somebody's family into this, right? Like, somebody is, like, in this case, Fort Master's wife or girlfriend or whatever, right? Like, why drag somebody that's, like, not related to the drama into this? If you don't like Fort Master, like, just take it out to him, right? I think I saw, like, a clip about Saintontas, like, talking something about Mr. Poke's mom or something, right? It's okay for Mr. Poke's mom to not have a house or something. Like, I feel like, yeah, it's a very bad clip, right? Again, I didn't look for the true context, but again, like, when you go... I understand that sometimes the hate can grow very strong, right? If the hate gets too much, that now you're going for other people's family as well. So again, yeah, that's just what it is, right? It do be super personal like that, right?
Some truly out of pocket, completely out of left field moments, like his whole AR-15 comment.
You said he would get an AR-15 and bring it to a public gathering. Yeah, are shooting ranges not public?
And how if you don't have an opinion on Enfield's Gacha, that's like not having an opinion on the fucking Holocaust.
If you don't want to have an opinion about Arknight's Gacha, this is like not having an opinion about the Holocaust.
Again, I'd like to bring up another...
Okay, that is kind of a crazy clip though. Kind of a crazy thing to say, right? Because, like, it's not even the same thing.
A clip from Rusty, because he addresses situations like this perfectly in his own video. So here you go.
I love discussing politics through sports.
Okay.
But I think we can all agree that we should not be discussing politics the same way we discuss sports. Oh look, CNN is talking about genocide, the same way that I would talk about if LeBron is clutch or not.
Look, I believe in the freedom
Politics
of
and
speech,
sports.
First Amendment of the Bill of Rights and all that. That being said, there are certain types of speech that are legally seen as not protected by the First Amendment. Things like incitement, true threats, fighting words, obscenity, defamation, fraud, criminal conduct, and child pornography. Good luck showing a picture of Rossiya to the judge, bucko. And yes, I bring this up about a stupid gacha creator that I don't like on the internet for whatever reason. But as weird as that sounds, based on the behavior that Saintontas has shown as a streamer and YouTuber, only some of which, by the way, I have shown in this video, I have very serious doubts as to whether or not he truly deserves this freedom of speech. A right that we Americans, if you live in America that is, take for granted every single fucking day. And in a world where people are oppressed, harassed, jailed, or even straight up murdered for trying to exercise what should be a basic global human right, nah. Instead, we got skinwalkers like Saintontas out here abusing their freedoms for their own personal gain come hell or high water.
I mean, that's what people do,
even if it is just to make dumbass videos about stupid gamble games on the internet. Making the sole focus of your channel to hate on Hoyo gachas, while weird and a bit over the top, is on its own fine.
Skinwalkers? What is that?
Schizoing out and talking about
I think it's like a zombie, right?
Things are also probably fine too. I mean, you got VTubers like Pippa talking about how she'd love to shoot up a Walmart one day, and they can get away with it. So for the sake of fairness, if you as a creator want to talk about some vile shit, then alright, go for it, I guess. But talking about gacha games like you're implying that the developers are fucking Nazis,
are crazy, right?
On top of your entire YouTube career being nothing but drama videos, constantly slandering both games and other creators that you don't like. That's not fine. Because at that point, it's no longer just a bit. It's no longer even considered mere entertainment. Now, you're attaching your schizo rants onto an actual narrative, even if that narrative is simply, oh, Hoyo is bad. Because then, that is how you get Saintontas playing a huge role in chasing Maggie out of the English-speaking Lua scene, or at least compelling her to
there was
quit.
a drama
To be honest,
Meiji, right?
I'm scared of the Lua community.
Damn.
When I made this statement, I never intended to generalize the entire community, but rather vent about the loud and toxic minority.
I mean, you sort of mess up when you make that kind of statement, though. But like, that's
how you get
unfortunate,
more
right?
and more insufferable drama slop pigs running amok in the gacha space like they're feral boars taking over the country right now. That's how you get the overall quality of gacha content in this space to constantly degrade itself down to the lowest possible common fucking.
Amtash, I played Stella Sora again. Amtash, even after Amtash quits gacha, he's still getting attacked. Amtash will never stop getting attacked, right? That's just life, right? That's the reality.
Denominator of entertainment. Where if you want to look up an Arknight's Enfield video at some point in the last 4 weeks, the first thing you probably saw was something like this.
You know what it is?
What a fucking joke, man.
What is
Dude, this is so embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed to play this game.
Can I imagine going to school with this guy?
Mistakes? Yeah, if your artist is Grok!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want an actual informative video or honest review of the game? Here, have 30 minutes of some short-ass retarded Korean schizoing his brains out about the game instead.
But it's hard not to feel like over time, the sports debate show format and ESPN specifically has just become a clown show competing for who can honk their big red nose the loudest. And that downward trajectory into the pit we're in now has become pervasive in our culture. Things are being dumbed down to the lowest possible denominator. We exist in a take culture, a take economy. Feels like every day we stray further and further from caring about what's right to instead caring about who was better at arguing. Grabbing the third rail over
should
and
host a
over
podcast with
again
all
to
of them.
please your shareholders is the
probably
core
not.
problem with debate culture today,
I don't think they
because
will
it
want it,
puts
though.
the incentive to
Let's be honest, right?
sensationalize
They probably wouldn't want
before
it.
the duty to the truth.
And therein lies the biggest problem with the gacha space. Arguably even more so than just Saintontas or hell, even all the rats put together. Because what exactly is the truth? Because when you look around this space, right, you have so many goddamn narratives bouncing around, in no small part thanks to the rats. How is the average gacha enjoyer supposed to know what the truth is about gacha games when you got retarded midgets like Saintontas running around screaming their heads off about it, and then spends most of his videos just reaching up his own prolapsed asshole to throw some more shit at whoever he feels like a monkey in a fucking zoo exhibit? What is the truth about gacha? And who is the most trustworthy one to go to for it? Well,
who?
You're
Gacha
looking
God.
at him. Hi.
The God of Gacha. Wow. Okay, what is this episode about?
Just as a disclaimer, this chapter of the video is going to get pretty personal, so if you don't like listening to some potentially sappy stuff,
Guys,
then
very personal,
you can just
guys.
skip this and go straight to the epilogue.
Very
This
personal.
video's gotten long enough as it already is. You may recall at the start of this video that I called myself something rather ridiculous, the God of Gacha. If you never heard me say that before, hell, maybe you still think this. You're probably thinking something along the lines of, who the shit does this fuck-ass weeb think he is? Like, give me a maroon school uniform and let me grow out my hair a bit,
Outfit
and
change
you
again.
can catch me outside looking like Katsuragi Keima. Also recall that along with calling myself something ridiculous, I also showed something even more ridiculous. A clip of me with 16 or 17 gachas all running on my PC at the same time. This clip is outdated, by the way, just so you know, as I've picked up 2 or 3 more gachas since I recorded that clip last year. So now my current gacha count is like 19. Not like, it is 19. All of which I main, by the way, as in I grind dailies for and do...
Okay, how many of you guys here can compete? How many of you guys here play 20 gacha games? Because he's the gacha god. 19. 1, 9, alright? How many of you guys here could do it? Because everybody got work, everybody got life, everybody got school, got college, right? 4 is your max. We're talking about 19. 1, 9, alright? And you gotta play everything yourself. You cannot just hire somebody and pay them $5. That's not how it works, right?
Content in every single fucking day for the past 8.5 years. Those 19 are FGO, Azure Lane, Arknights, Genshin, Nikkei, Star Rail, Ether Gazer, Snowbreak, Wuthering Waves, Zenless Zone 0, GFL 2.
Did he just say Snowbreak? But Snowbreak is on maintenance, so Snowbreak is maintenance for a while, right?
Zedra, Brown Dust 2, Uma Musume, Horizon Walker, CZN, Duet Night Abyss, and Arknights Enfield.
I wonder if Duet Night Abyss is counted. I guess you can still count it, right? It's not, even though you don't really call it a gacha game. There's no gacha character, but there's still gacha costume. So I guess it falls under the same stuff,
no,
right?
I used to play Girls for Online 1 as well for 6 years before finally dropping it 2 years ago. NTE looks like it'll launch sometime this year, so that'll be my 20th gacha.
20th
I plan to pick
gacha.
up a few more gachas when they launch, those being Silver Palace, Azure Parmelia, and Ananta. And I'm interested in maybe
25.
one day playing Limbus Company, Reverse
26,
1999,
27,
PGR, and
28.
Stella Sora. And when I rattle off all
he doesn't
these...
play Stella Sora. Okay. So he's playing 20... He plans to play 28 gachas in the future. That's... Is that even possible, right? Is that even possible?
Names for all my gacha games, whether I play them right now or I'm interested in playing them in the future. Don't confuse me for even a second. For those Twitter engagement farmers posting pictures that probably aren't even theirs to begin with of their phones with a whole bunch of like gacha apps on them talking about how they're so addicted to gacha games. Chances are most of them are gachas that they downloaded once, played once for like a day or maybe a few days or so, and then never touched again after that. In case this wasn't somehow abundantly clear by now, I fucking love gacha games. I mean, I'd hope so too, since I think having someone play almost like 20 different gacha games every single day, if they didn't like it, would probably be a hate crime somehow. Or like at least be classified as like a cruel and unusual punishment.
So I'm guessing he doesn't play single player games at all, right? For me, sometimes occasionally I will play single player games. Like recently I played Resident Evil, right? But again, right, it depends, right? If he enjoys gacha completely, that's fine too. Right, there's going to be more and more gachas coming out.
It's kind of complicated to explain why exactly I love them so much. Obviously, I got my fair share of waifus, particularly of the pink-haired, fat titty variety, of which gacha games got them in spades, that's for sure.
Mika,
but if that were the only reason why I like gachas, then that doesn't explain why I try to level up every single character in my gacha accounts, at least for the games where I feel like it's possible for me to do so. Yes, even the dudes. I don't give a fuck if Varka ain't meta. He's fucking cool, bitch. You can call me
Even dudes, okay? Even dudes. You can't be a dude hater. If you are a gacha god, you have to like everyone equally. That's just your job, right?
With the way I too yearn for true gender equality.
Important.
The simplest way that I can explain why I like gacha so much is because of the grind that you have to put into them. You can be the luckiest son of a bitch on the planet, or I guess the richest for that matter, and pull all the characters you want. But ain't nothing gonna get those characters all leveled up or properly geared out unless you decide to put in the hours to grind for the materials and gear. And yes, I'm aware that there are people out there who pay others called pilots, I think they're called, to grind your accounts for you, and it shouldn't surprise you to know that I think that's fucking lame. But hey, I don't really consider people who pay for those pilots to be gacha players in the first place anyway. I come from an FPS background, at least, before I got into gacha games. When I first made this channel 15 years ago, I started off making videos on the first online game that I ever got into called Combat Arms, an old school free-to-play first-person shooter made by Nexon back in like 2007, 2008 or so.
Really?
And I grinded that game for 9 straight years.
9 years.
I also really enjoy playing 7 Days to Die, which is a zombie survival game.
That's a zombie game. Yeah, I know this game.
Kind of similar mechanics, building mechanics that is, to Minecraft, where you gotta gather resources like food, gear, and ammo to survive weekly Blood Moon hordes. And I used to grind weapon camos for the COD games, and most recently in Black Ops 6. I grew up with the grind, born in it, molded by it even, you know how that goes. Even before I was introduced to gacha games. So when I did get into them, I did 16-hour farming sessions in FGO grinding out lottery events before most of you even knew what gacha games were back then. Back when we first got Theater and Genshin a couple years ago, and when most people were complaining about how you had to have so many characters leveled up and invested now to do it, I was one of the very few individuals who were like, fuck yeah, put me in, coach. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. Since I have every single character in that game, all max level, all max skills, minus crowns, because you can't farm those, and their own dedicated gear. To me, there's something very special about the grind in gacha games, in particular that makes them, in my opinion, so satisfying
worth millions of dollars.
Characters are the main content in any gacha. Your goal, assuming you want them in the first place, is to acquire them somehow.
Acquire the character, right?
Through grind,
just get the character.
Old-fashioned money. And once you get them, you then ideally get them all leveled up and geared out, so that way they're ready to take on any content that you want to use them in. Oftentimes, that involves endgame, but even if it doesn't, right, it still feels nice to actually use the brand new characters that you just pulled and put resources into. Plus, the fact that gacha games focus on characters makes the grind all that much more satisfying. In
it's quite expensive, right?
Normal games, you don't really have like individual characters to focus on. I mean, in some games like Project Zomboid, sure, you might get attached to your current character.
No idea what this is.
There's permadeath in that game, so if your character dies, you lose all the skill progression you had on them, and so you're forced to start all over again
free to play?
Nah,
Genshin you cannot free to play and get everyone.
In normal games, right, you don't need to worry as much about how you're going to acquire new characters and gear. If one of your characters dies, yeah, that sucks, I'm sure, but you can always start over. I can lose a 6 quality TAC AR doing a raid, and yeah, I'll wish I didn't, but at the end of the day, I can always just make another after enough grind. But it's a much different experience in gacha because typically you gotta pull them from the gacha banners first. And that's much harder to do because you either need to grind those games first to get enough gems to pull the characters you want, assuming you're even guaranteed them at all, or you gotta start swiping that credit card. And as much as we all love bitching about how much gacha sucks and paywalling characters behind them feels terrible, which is a completely valid point, I'm not trying to take anything away from that.
What
that also does, for better or for worse, is make players value the characters and weapons they do end up pulling a lot more, because we all know how hard it can be to get them at all. I mean, just look at all the people out there who love flexing their lucky ass gacha pulls. Bonus points if they also say free to play, by the way, at the end. Unless, of course, you're one of those pity builders who accidentally got spooked by characters that they didn't want while building pity.
What do you mean building pity?
If you ask me, I prefer calling them compulsive gamblers who should never enter a casino for their own sake.
What do you mean building pity?
And there's the whole parasocial
Are you 12 years old,
characters being a lot easier to connect with, so to say, in gacha games. Gacha characters come with their own animations and professional voice acting. And when you pull them from gacha banners, they are yours. They are your gacha characters. Throw on top of this the fact that gacha games are, at the end of the day, random loot boxes where luck can absolutely play a huge factor for a lot of players out there, in the sense that you never know if you'll get a 5-star character early before your soft pity, or if your absolute last Hail Mary on your account is finally the one to get you that character
that's the first
you've been
Honkai
grinding
Star
for so long to get. And you finally start to understand the appeal that gacha games have that I think almost no other genre can quite match. So it's not just that I'm some bootleg filthy Frank and I just really like grinding gacha games. No, I also enjoy these games as a whole ass genre. Matter of fact, I truly believe that gacha games must be classified as their own genre because their gameplay loops are fundamentally different from, let's say, normal games because of the kind of grind that's associated with them. Thus, I began to pick up more gacha games pretty early on because I was curious to know how other gacha games did things differently, to explore them, basically.
Oh, this was him back then.
And to this day, I still haven't lost that curiosity.
That was him back then.
In fact, I've actually been starting new gachas more frequently as the years go by. I want to see how far gacha games can go. What future gacha games will do to continue honing and improving the gacha formula that we know so far, and to continue learning more about them along the way. Studying both the things that gacha games so far have done well and the things that they haven't done as well. So what does all this have to do with calling myself the God of Gacha exactly?
The God of Gacha, guys.
Well, I've admitted this before and I'll admit it again. It's kind of fucking corny to call myself that. Like, you don't see other people in other areas call themselves something like that now, do you? Like, Magnus Carlsen ain't out here calling himself the god of chess. At least I don't think so. Shohei Ohtani ain't out here calling himself the god of baseball. Zayn isn't calling himself the god of melee, though that might not be the best analogy to make here given these guys. Point is, there are people out there who are among the absolute or are the absolute best in what they do, and they don't feel the need to call themselves gods or anything. And ideally, I would also never call myself something as crass as the God of Gacha either. I actually respect guide makers and the people who are truly skilled at their gachas, people like Zajev, Sweetly, and Rexlent, far more than myself as far as like creators are concerned, because their content should, under normal circumstances, be a lot more valuable to their respective communities than just someone like me who just streams himself grinding a whole lot of them. For as much as I love grinding gacha games and think that more people out there should try to do the same, I also don't believe that just because I main double-digit gacha games automatically lets me call myself something like the god of it either. So what the hell exactly is my problem? Oh, I'll tell you what my fucking problem is, ladies and gentlemen. It's the bastard I've been roasting for almost this entire video. Him and the rest of his cancerous, sewer-sucking cohort of rats. It's no secret that most gacha players' experience with gacha games first started with Genshin Impact. And that even to this day, most gacha players out there only know of like the big production ones, or the big five as I call them. Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero, Wuthering Waves, and most recently, Arknight's Enfield.
What about Star Savior?
But while they may be the biggest ones in terms of general recognition and popularity, they are by no means the only gacha games that exist. Which means that many gacha players out there only know gacha as a genre through the narrow lens of like 5 or less games. On top of the players not really knowing a whole lot about gacha games, many, if not most creators are the exact same in the sense that they only started making gacha content after Genshin popped off, whether intentionally or not. Normally, content creators are supposed to be the ones teaching a brand new audience about their respective games. But when gacha games took off with Genshin 5 years ago, because the vast majority of streamers and YouTubers getting into them were just as clueless as the rest of the community, they simply absorbed the knowledge and conclusions of said community and parroted them to their own viewers without thinking too hard about them or putting in some extra effort to validate them. Or, even worse, they made up their own dog shit takes about gacha games to share with their own viewers and sometimes even the community at large, which is exactly what the rats like Saintontas have been doing for the past 2 years. And 5 years after Genshin's initial launch and the genre of gacha games going mainstream for the first time along with it, I don't think the overall situation has changed much. Yes, mainstream gacha players do know a bit more about gacha games as a whole genre nowadays compared to like 5 years ago, but I can still count on my daily Twitter doom scrolls to keep fetching me stupid ass takes that I see about gacha games from some random ass Star Rail or Genshin casual. That is precisely where I, as someone who's grinded gachas beyond what most people can even fathom as humanly possible, feel the need to step in to help educate the wider community about what gacha games are really like, and to do so as fairly as possible without the emotional outbursts or manipulative rhetoric that you so often see others do whenever they talk about gacha.
That's how it should be.
If it were just stupid Genshin casuals not knowing what the fuck they're talking about whenever they try to talk trash on other gacha games and that's all we had to deal with, then no, I wouldn't have felt the need to call myself the God of Gacha. That would have been unnecessary, overkill even. No, what got me to start calling myself that is because of the rats. Because Saintontas began gaining traction as the grifting piece of shit creator that he always was. Because it's one thing for the community at large to come to bad conclusions naturally, but it's another thing entirely for creators like Saintontas to spread their fuck-ass takes so prolifically and so corrosively as they do with their viewers and potentially with the community as well. Especially because they're doing it for their own gain and not even in the best interest of the gachas that they do like. I think now is a good time to remind you all that Saintontas was not invited to KuroFest last year when KuroGame also specifically invited other creators who mainly played Hoyo games. Oh, what's that? The clown didn't go because he didn't want to or whatever? Yeah, a clout-chasing, propaganda-pushing Kim Jong-un clone like him not wanting to go to KuroFest? Yeah, alright, buddy. Keep bouncing on that Wuwa dildo some more and maybe you'll get invited this year. The way I see it,
what if he get invited this year? What if he actually get invited this year? Imagine if he actually get invited this year, finally. This year is the year, right?
Have bad actors like him doing the things they do and running rampant in the space, there is almost nothing you can do to combat them effectively because to do that, you must have a community who already has a basic grasp of the game or the genre that they're playing. The narratives and the propaganda that Saintontas and the other rats are constantly pushing aren't some like 200 IQ big brain thought processes. No, they're either some like badly distorted interpretation of a situation that they arbitrarily come up with and then latch onto, or manipulative rhetoric that relies on inflating what somewhat accurate facts that they do happen to find in order to fabricate false and misleading narratives out of them. All you need to see through them is a basic understanding of gacha games or at least enough experience playing them to know better. Yet it's precisely because the gacha community as a whole does not possess such basic knowledge, or at least not enough of it in my opinion, that rats like the god of losing court cases and the god of sucking tectones and Wuwa's dicks are able to get away with shoving their dog shit narratives down the throats of anyone who's unfortunate enough to come across their content. There was almost nobody who was well equipped enough back then when the rats were first starting to make themselves known to look at what they were doing and say, hey, like, that ain't cool.
What is that face?
And to be fair to the rats, honestly, we should have had more content creators back then out there well before WUWA ever came out, trying to correct the bad takes that Genshin players kept spraying all over Twitter and Hoyo Lab.
You will never be able to do that unless you filter them out, right? But like most community don't really filter people out. That's why you get a lot of people like that. But generally, when the community becomes too big, it will be very difficult to filter, right?
Maybe if we had done that, then we wouldn't even have a rat infestation problem right now in the first place. But no point in dwelling on what ifs. We gotta talk reality. And the reality is that I am the absolute best creator in the Western gacha space to fight the rats. The best way to fight against propaganda is to be properly informed.
Wow.
And if you're not, you gotta take the time to become properly informed. Knowledge is what allows you to see through the narratives, to see through the lies that people like Saintontas are trying to feed you for their own gain. And who better to learn about gacha from than the dude who spent years playing them and actively keeps up with 20 of them at this point.
20?
And not just the big ones either, but also plenty of smaller gachas for a much more comprehensive picture on the genre as a whole. If you'll excuse stroking my own ego for a little bit longer, I am the complete foil to Saintontas. I play more gachas than he can name. He can barely play one and utterly fails at others. There's a good fucking reason why Saintontas...
He can't even play one. He has to hire people to play for him. Damn, that's too much though.
Was never invited to Sweet Lee's second WUWA creator tournament, probably because she beat his ass too badly in the first one. I take time to produce each of my videos, and each of them take anywhere between a few days to even weeks to produce. He jizzes out 3 or 4 videos a day. And they're all just regurgitated stream content that he recycles to double dip with his own content. I want my viewers to be responsible consumers of gacha content, while he...
I feel like Saintontas also make guides, right? He used to make guides at least, but maybe nowadays he don't make as much guides anymore, right?
Wants his own viewers to just be his personal minions that he can farm for views and harass other creators
with.
Most importantly, I care about gacha games, which is something that I'm not sure how many other people in this space can also say with a straight face like I can. I have spent years playing them, grinding them, spending both a lot of my time and money on them to enjoy them and to learn more about them. So that way, I, as a gacha creator, can share my experiences and the lessons that I've learned along the way with those who are willing to listen, in the hopes that they will avoid what I did wrong and make the gacha community just a little bit better informed in the process. Saintontas, on the other hand, does not care about gacha games in the fucking slightest.
He doesn't care.
Despite any claims that I'm sure he'll make to try to say otherwise.
Do I also care?
With how much he idolizes...
The truth is, you can't really care, right? It's like, it's not about... It's not about me caring or not. It's about you should only care about something that you can change. Like for gacha games, you can't really care, man. You should enjoy them as a game. If you don't like it, then that's fine. But if you like it, you play it, right? Like if I care about Black Beacon, for example, does it mean that it's not gonna EOS? It's still gonna EOS. If I care about Tribe 9, does it not EOS? It will still EOS. You can only care about a game so much, right? Because like if a game is niche, then there's only so much you can do with it, right?
One gacha game in particular, and unfortunately for the rest of us, it's Wuthering Waves.
Wuthering Waves.
He doesn't truly appreciate it as a gacha. He simply uses it as a pedestal from which he can preach his acidic, deranged narratives onto as many people passing by as he can. He's not even a dedicated Hoyo hater anymore. Like, how can I keep calling him that when about half the videos that he's shat onto his YouTube channel in the past month have been nothing but Enfield hate videos? Hell, you can even say that Saintontas at this point is the primary reason why I even bother calling myself the God of Gacha still. I am the god to his Antichrist, the South Korea to his north. Because even though my only claim to fame in the gacha scene is simply how long I've been playing gachas for and how many of them that I play at this point, when I look around at other gacha creators and see myself surrounded by absolute jackasses and heathens, people who denigrate and degrade the very games they themselves play and oftentimes make money off of by doing content for.
True.
Yeah. I might as well call myself a god because I certainly fucking feel like one compared to them. No. He simply hates gacha games and is only here because it makes him money. Even on the off chance that he doesn't actually hate gacha games somehow, he certainly has no qualms about raping them for his own benefit, pleasure even. Again, he's learned from the worst. With the way he constantly distorts and bastardizes the facts to fit his own convenient narratives, or the way he weaponizes his own audience to attack others in this space. Again, Rusty has another segment that perfectly describes Saintontas. Just replace Stephen A. Smith for the clown.
But where he's really crossed the line in the past is when he steps outside of the sports bubble. Stephen A. Smith was seemingly everywhere even before I became an adult, but his presence has really become oversaturated in recent years. YouTuber. Not necessarily in terms of relevance, but in terms of the sheer amount of yappage that this man gets off. I mean, he is talking all day, every day. It is hard work to be as dedicated as he is to quantity, but on the other hand, it comes at the consequence of sacrificing quality. We see the big equals good theory at play. And I think a less reductive way to phrase that could be that when it comes to journalism, Stephen A. cares about the means way more than the ends. Stephen A. says a lot. So many words leave that man's mouth every day. But he simultaneously says so little. He has prioritized saying as much as possible over valuing his word and saying things as meaningfully as possible. In fact, I wouldn't even say it's really prioritizing, because that implies that one gets more over the other. No, he has sacrificed quality at the altar in exchange for as much quantity as possible. He's chasing growth for growth's sake. Change for the sake of change, not in the name of progress, not in honor of the truth. It is just for the sake of making money off of reaching for the third rail.
It's not about us. It's about the money.
But for the sake of fairness, I don't think the rats are the only problem with the gacha space. They may be the single biggest one right now, but to me, there's also another one that I feel obligated to bring up. The fact that many creators out there are, quite frankly, scared to confront the rats, assuming, of course, that they know about them. It's either that or they just don't want to deal with them. And yes, I'm aware that in recent times, the rats, Saintontas especially, have come under heavy criticism, and of course that's great. I'll talk more about that later, but that still doesn't change the fact that many creators would rather duck their heads down and do nothing, even as they themselves get harassed and attacked. Like, I get it, it's a headache that you don't want to deal with, and I'm certainly not trying to advocate for creators to make more drama content.
Drama is good though, right?
God knows we have enough
Everybody
of that
likes
already,
drama.
especially with this video.
Drama.
But in my opinion, at this point, with how much the rats like Saintontas have been ratting their asses off for the past 2 years, if you look at them and what they are doing and continue to turn a blind eye to them, and you still insist on calling yourself a gacha content creator, then you are either a coward or you don't really give a shit about the genre. Gacha games are more of a bag for you than anything else. At least Gacha Smack admits it, so I can respect his honesty at the very least.
True.
So what about everyone else? Actually, don't answer that. Most gacha creators out here only play the big five, and the only way to get them to play anything else is to sponsor them. So I think I have my answer already. And I find this especially depressing because it's fine if they don't want to get down and dirty with the drama like me or others. I certainly don't want them to if it makes them uncomfortable or they feel like it's something that would harm their own channels.
Only the big five, is it?
I still occasionally get either Saintontas or Tectone Orbiters come into my stream trying to talk shit, and I deal with them accordingly, as you can see here.
True.
Tectone calls you the god of twinks. I don't want to hear that from someone who's the god of losing court cases and the god of sexual harassment. Also, do me a favor. Ask Tectone why he roasted that one Shibuya Kaho lady on Twitter and calling her an ex-porn star when he's no better himself, fucking stripping naked on stream. Get back to me when he actually wins a court case for once. Maybe you should hire maybe like 5 more lawyers.
Guys, court case is very important, right?
Bitch. But it's more so that many of them will only do what I consider to be like the bare minimum of being a gacha creator. They get on stream, for example, play some Genshin or Star Rail, you know, take your pick from one of the big 4 or 5 for a few hours. Maybe they'll do a sponsor segment where they check out some other gacha that they'll never touch again unless they get sponsored to play it again, and then log off. Or I guess you could be Mtashed, who says he's gonna quit gacha games for good in his recent video, just like the 50 other times he said the exact
quit gacha game for good, guys. For real, right? No more messing around. Mtash.
Same thing every other week. He's actually Genshin. And it's not like it's just a few creators here and there who do this. No, this is like the cookie cutter formula for many gacha streamers out there, which includes some whom I actually like or have some decent respect for. I got a lot of stuff going on in my life. The past 3 years have been pretty damn rough for me personally, ever since I got laid off my comfy office job that I had for like 7 years up until that point. There's a lot of IRL bullshit that I gotta deal with on a regular basis, on top of still looking for a suitable job in the industry that I used to work in, or at least something similar. And I've been doing food delivery to help make ends meet in the meantime for the past several months.
Wow.
And yet, all that still hasn't stopped my ass from grinding gacha games and making content for it whenever I've got the time to. I'm not trying to say that other creators don't have their own personal shit going on in their lives that they gotta worry about
Everybody's got those issues,
that somehow my struggles are worse than theirs, or, you know, anyone else's for that matter.
Fair.
But in the narrow context of gacha games, looking around at my fellow gacha creators, quite a few of whom even are able to make a whole ass living off of gacha content, let's just say that in hindsight, I don't find it a surprise in the slightest that the rats have become so pervasive in our space as they have. It shouldn't even be a brag for me to say in the first place that I simply play more gacha games than everyone else. In a more ideal timeline, we should be seeing more creators out there exploring more gachas and going out of their way to enjoy even the smaller, more obscure ones. Obviously, I don't expect people to end up maining like 20 different fucking gacha games like I do. That's clearly too much for any gacha player. But I do hold my fellow creators specifically up to a higher standard, especially those who are able to support themselves financially doing gacha content, be it partially or, if they're lucky enough, fully. I don't think there ought to be a hard number of how many gachas they should main or whatever, but giving other smaller gachas an honest chance would be really fucking nice, if only to expand their horizons and learn more about gacha games outside of the realm of like the big and popular. The problem is that that's not what we see a lot of the time now, is it? And in case you're concerned for them here, is that they'll make less money creating content on lesser known gachas. Here, take this and give it to them.
Look at that.
If I can do DoorDash for up to 8 hours a day and still make this video,
job application, guys.
Too. Also, maybe give one of these to Saintontas too while you're at it.
Very important.
I've asked people this before, and so I will ask this again. Show me another Western gacha creator out there who plays as much, if not more, gacha than me. Someone who also cares about gacha games anywhere near as much as I do.
He cares a lot.
Wait. But unfortunately, I get the feeling that I'll be waiting here up in my ivory gacha tower
He's the only one. Gacha God is the only one.
They say it's lonely at the top, but
no way you play 25.
I didn't think it'd be like this. To close this chapter, I want to be very transparent with you and say that despite me calling myself the God of Gacha or
don't tell him about me.
I myself am
not call myself that,
creator.
right?
I'm certainly no role model outside of gacha games anyway, since I can say some pretty nasty things myself. In this entire video, for example, I've basically been calling Saintontas a short-ass man whore, and I've had some very choice words for other rats like him in other videos. There's always some kind of drama that makes the rounds on gacha Twitter or just social media in general. And almost every time I look inside, right, it's some f***ass retarded take that gets spread around like Captain Cabinet spreads her legs for Saintontas, or was it Itoma? Same difference. Around last year, I started a series called Delusional Gacha Takes, where I made videos commenting on what I saw were dumb takes going around the gacha space at the time. And in the first few videos, I used very provocative language of my own to argue against those takes. If you seriously think that Genshin is paywalling exploration behind these characters, then either you are just a straight up Wuwa glazer and you've never even played Genshin before and you just hate on it because that's the popular thing to do to try to get some brownie points from other Wuwa glazers on Twitter or on Discord, or you got straight up filtered by Genshin's exploration. And imagine getting filtered by a gacha game that's even more casual than Wuthering Waves. And when I look back on them, I realized that for a guy who calls himself stuff like the God of Gacha and says that he wants to teach gacha players about gacha games, this isn't the kind of language you should expect out of a guy like that. In fact, perhaps it's this exact kind of language that aggroed Tectone to begin with when he started beefing with me last year. Since the first
I think that was the first video that he had drama with Tectone, right? I think I remember Tectone reacted to that video. And that's when they started having beef against each other. I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure that was the video that started it all. Between him and Tectone, the drama, right?
He reacted to as part of our beefing was my Delusional Gacha Takes episode 3. So dudes, welcome back to the 3rd episode of Delusional Gacha Takes. I'm your host, the God of Gacha himself, too. And today I want to... No matter how justified I may be or feel like I might be...
Why did Tectone puke? Why did he puke though? There's no reason for him to do that, right?
In using such language, I also don't think that this sort of language or behavior should be normalized
6 times.
So, unlike the clown, I've made efforts to dial it back. First, in the last 3 or so Delusional Gacha Takes episodes that I've done, I toned down the aggressive language in them significantly. Gachas encourage, even demand, depending on the game, that their players commit to them by playing those gachas every single day so that they don't miss out on any of their limited time content.
You cannot be missing out,
Ryuku was the target in my 3rd Delusional Gacha Takes episode, so I eventually reached out to him and spoke to him privately over Discord. It did take me a few months to get around to doing that, but because of it, he and I are at least back on speaking terms. I don't know if it's accurate to say that we're friends per se. I don't think we know each other that well to say that. But part of the reason why I took such an aggressive stance against him in my video initially was because I thought he was a rat himself based on his previous tweets and other behavior that he exhibited. But after speaking with him, I've since changed my mind. Matter of fact, Ryuku has had his own run-ins with the actual rats like Saintontas and Tectone, and those were what got me to start thinking, oh wait, maybe Ryuku actually isn't a rat after all. And so I reached out to him to help clear things up. Third, I now reserve my aggressive-ass language for the rats, or at least anyone else who I think also deserves it. It's obviously not ethical, if you want to call it that, to talk like that all the time, but I do think it still has a place, in particular against the very same people who use it all the time themselves, like Saintontas. From observing the rats doing their rat-ass things for the past 2 years, I've come to the conclusion that the best way to deal with them is to fight fire with fire. While normally just ignoring them would be the correct play so that way they simply run out of fuel and burn themselves out eventually, I think that in this day and age, when content creators are becoming ever more shameless in their dogshit behavior, simply ignoring them is no longer a viable tactic. This ain't 2011 where one bad drama is enough to kill your entire content career. Saintontas has proven this himself time and time again by harassing other gacha creators constantly in this space, and if he doesn't have drama on hand with which to do so, he'll simply manufacture his own damn drama. He will go out of his way to harass other creators, especially those he has harassed before.
Why would he do that?
Just to keep his 24/7 propaganda machine running. Ask Genizod, ask Pokey, and keep an eye on Captain Cabinets now that it turns out they're exes, somehow, however that happened. Even if he, for whatever reason, gets tired of harassing the same people over and over, he'll just find new targets to go and farm drama out of, deserved or not. So for him, and him in particular, I will continue saying shit like a 5'1" man slut who guzzles Tectone's cum every time the god of losing court cases shows him who the boss of their gym is. But in the meantime,
not that clip, man, not that clip.
For everyone else, I won't just throw around words like that towards other creators, at least the ones I know who aren't rats at least. Again, I'm not a perfect creator,
guys.
but I've always made my content with the intent of either educating people. He's a 5-star coup in the fact that he's also another solo specialist, but on fucking crack, or at the very least, providing entertainment value that doesn't come at the expense of everyone else around me. Let's talk about how you can min-max your account in Honkai Star Rail. I make mistakes, but I at least have the decency to not only try to rectify them, but also tell you all about them to show you that I have nothing to hide as a gacha YouTuber and streamer. And again, I love gacha games, and as someone who's been making content for longer than some of you have been literally alive for, I want to continue doing that for the gacha community. When I first got into gacha games with FGO, I was lucky enough to join a dedicated community online full of other like-minded FGO players at the time who were able to share their own experiences with me and each other
one of the oldest
gacha. All the gacha salt, both the success and the horror stories, the long hours grinding events while on Discord call together, stuff like this that I lost when I finally quit Combat Arms for good after Nexon sold their servers to another company and made me lose my main account in the process. The gacha community at large has also undergone a radical change over the years, mainly because of Genshin, sure, yeah, but also because the initial community that I was lucky enough to become a part of when I first started playing gacha 8.5 years ago has slowly gone their separate ways since then. Old retired whales who have become beached over the years, whether by choice or not, never to swim the vast blue waters of the gacha ocean ever again. But despite all these changes, despite the world so drastically changing around me, that hasn't stopped me from continuing to make content on gacha games. I love gacha games too much for me to just start blaming how different things are because of the normies or whatever that some people like to do, or on how much real life sucks. And I certainly won't just act like a powerless bystander while rats like Saintontas keep chewing on everything they can get their dirty little hands on. I have been speaking out against the rats for the past year, ever since Tectone threw my ass under the bus, and I will continue to do so until the clown is gone too. And if the rest of you guys consider yourselves to be true fans of gacha, it's high fucking time that you do too.
Okay. What is this? Beware of the false prophet. Final part. Alright, we are almost done with the video. It's only been 2 hours, guys. What is this? What is the last part about?
Saintontas is a gacha creator, if only barely.
Wow.
But it's more accurate to say that he was a gacha creator in the same way that Stephen A. Smith
not done yet. Not even close, right?
In the sports
is he going to call me out? I hope not.
Saintontas can make all the videos he wants and call himself a gacha creator all he wants, but it doesn't take a genius to take one look at his content and his behavior and realize that he's not really a creator. He's just a straight up asshole. You don't just make a few videos bashing a gacha game and then call yourself a gacha YouTuber or streamer. Tectone isn't a political commentator if all he says is something along the lines of fuck Hassan.
I don't wish any harm upon Hassan at all. I don't. I want his existence to be his punishment. This is a man.
Did he use a face filter? Why is it so smooth? I feel like he used like an Instagram filter or something.
Where? Let's just be completely honest.
Maybe it's just me, right?
He's not the most entertaining guy.
So what is this about?
He has about as much charisma as a paper fucking bag.
Which, to be fair, I got my problems with that guy too, but that still doesn't somehow make Tectone a political expert or someone who's even remotely qualified to talk about politics on his Twitter account all of a sudden. He is an expert on abusing people, though, and no, I'm not going to stop reminding you of that because fuck that bitch. I have given credit to Saintontas for his early content, and while I would love to argue that even his earlier content is suspect as well, I'll stick with giving him the benefit of the doubt that he at least started off as a somewhat legitimate creator in this space. Hell, I'll even roll with the excuse that he used the initial gacha tribalism between Genshin and WoWa back, 2 years ago to help jumpstart his own channel. Like, if you want to go ahead and praise him or whatever for being smart for doing that, then like, sure, okay, I guess, bro. But no matter how much you think this is supposed to be a success story here in the gacha space, I'm here to tell you that it is not. It's not a success story for gacha creators in general if this dude has only ever supported one gacha game, shit on the rest, and has attacked any other creator in their community who dares to speak out against him. Whether to tighten his control over the narratives that he's been pushing for all this time, or because he's just that insecure about himself on the internet like the Timu-ass Napoleon that he is. And besides, this video wouldn't exist if it were in the first place. Put simply, Saintontas is the DSP and Grums put together of gacha games. He combines the whiny, skillless, and entitled personality of DSP with the grifting and narrative-pushing nature of Grums' Twitter account to profit off people's ignorance or mere desire to talk trash about gacha games in a horribly inflated and needlessly confrontational way. I'm not one to preach to people about morals or ethics. This is the internet after all, and things like arguments, drama, and social conflict in this day and age are, unfortunately, highly likely. I myself am an expert on gacha games, so like, under normal circumstances, what moral high ground do I have to begin with exactly? And besides, just look at any of my streams from last year where I had body pillows on the back wall behind me with anime girls and VTubers on them. But when I see Saintontas shitting himself with multiple videos a day yapping about whatever the fuck he feels like in a space that I am heavily invested in personally and for far longer than he has, you best believe that I feel fucking disgusted. Both because of him personally and because until recently, there hadn't been much of an effort from the rest of the community to fucking do something about him. Sure, there is something to be said about how, oh, these are just gacha games, bro. You know, they ain't that serious. There are plenty of other things out there in real life that you should put this sort of effort towards. You're not wrong about that.
Not too serious.
But if you think that that's just a suitable enough counter argument to everything that I've said in this video so far, then, for the sake of fairness, I would love for you to also apply that same argument to Saintontas too. Because what on God's green earth could be so fucking important about Arknight's Enfield that he feels the need to make 41 fucking videos talking shit about it in a single goddamn month? Saintontas is a false prophet. He's the gacha equivalent of one of those fire and brimstone creatures that you sometimes find screaming vague-ass Bible verses into a megaphone at a busy downtown intersection, running his cocksucking mouth constantly about how Hoyoverse is the devil and Wuwa is the second coming of Christ. And like I said before, it's about damn time that the gacha community treats him like the annoying-ass Jehovah's Witness that he is. But, luckily for all of us, that seems to be the exact direction that we're finally headed in. The one silver lining that came out of the clown's Enfield hate streak was that his plan to farm Enfield drama for clout, if he even had a plan with that, seems to have largely failed. Not only has Enfield managed to establish a firm enough foothold in the gacha community to the point where I think it's fine to call it the 5th big gacha, but it's also put his own ass under a ton of fire for the very first time. Other YouTubers and streamers have finally done or are starting to do what I asked them to last year and taken a stand against Saintontas. Most notably Skull CJ giving the clown a taste of his own medicine by machine gunning out his own series of slander videos against him.
Today he is kind of successful, but that's all that he got going for himself. He don't got no friends, no bitches, nowhere to spend money. He literally lives and makes all his content out of a cubicle the size of my closet. But hey, man, I just hope good old Bobby Lee, good old good old, you know, Greasy Fingers, good old Chicken Nugget Pocket is doing his thing, enjoying life, because honestly, I gotta tell you guys, his mom should have swallowed.
Pokey has also ulted and managed to slap a copyright strike onto the clown's YouTube channel, which is the whole reason why Saintontas kept crying about him for the past few weeks.
I have absolutely nothing with whatever that's going on in Saintontas' Discord server, and I heavily condemn such actions. open allegations
server,
that
guys.
Poki's community is spamming out
Discord
shit
drama.
wherever there's gonna be are extremely dangerous and defamatory, and if Saintontas has a single shred of goodwill, he will retract his statements as well as a public apology.
Also, it appears that Poki has even opened a copyright case against Saintontas very recently. Or, should I say, Stephen Yu. So if the clown does in fact lose this, then I look forward to calling both him and his sugar daddy, John Robertson, the gods, plural, of losing court cases. And for the record, it's not that there was nobody before the start of this year who was already speaking out against the rats. People like Arikado Zodan, at least after he became reformed, Foxhole, and other smaller gacha YouTubers have made videos in the past 2 years refuting and disproving the lies and propaganda that the clown's been vomiting for all that time. But I think it's safe.
Okay, let's address this. Anfield is garbage. Poco don't even play it, and the game first, gacha second. Captain Cabinets hasn't logged in 40 days. CJ irrelevant. I dislike Tontas, but time proved him right. I don't get it. If you don't like Arknight's Anfield, then don't play it, right? I don't understand the hate though. Like it's not about you playing the game. It's about people hating the game, right? So if you don't like something, then don't play it, right? I think it's just that simple. So at the end of the day, like I'm not sure why do you even bring that up, right? Because like why it's like you say you dislike Saintontas, but you go and bring up all the Saintontas enemy, which is Mr. Poco, which is Captain Cabinets, and which is Skull CJ. So again, it's so obvious here, right? It's blatantly obvious that you're lying because every single person that you brought up is somebody that hates him. So I think you're lying. Now again, I'm usually right when it comes to guesses, alright? So again, you need to understand that you're not talking to any normal streamer. You're talking to somebody who is a teacher. I deal with a lot of kids. So let's just drop the ego, alright? If you hate Arknight's Anfield, hey, that's fine though, right? That's fine. I don't hate you for hating Arknight's Anfield. You're allowed to hate. Don't play it, right? It's that simple. Like my advice is if you hate something, just don't play it. Just don't play it, right? It's that simple. It's nothing personal, right?
Safe to say that everything that he's had to deal with in the past month or so is the strongest resistance to his dog shit content that he's ever had to deal with. To the point where he's actually even lost YouTube subs as a direct result of all this. Hell, he's even started alienating his own fellow rats, which is actually something that, by the way, I predicted kinda sorta on stream last year.
Subscribers,
My original prediction was that there was a chance that eventually the rats would start turning on each other and fighting each other, because while they originally got their YouTube channels or streams or both started on Wuwa, with all these new big and upcoming gacha games coming out, that could also become just as big, if not bigger than Wuwa, there would be some rats who would remain Wuwa agenda pushers or loyalists or apologists, whatever you want to call them, while others would jump ship over to those newer gachas to chase them for clout instead. But you decide on how close I got with that. But anyway, other rat creators who traditionally followed his Wuwa number 1
I don't know who that is,
and
actually.
Hoyo as public enemy number 1 agenda have since turned on him, as we've mainly seen with the beef between him and Cab.
No idea who the other two is,
friend,
right?
who's also a drama grifting
but
YouTuber
those are the people that I'm not aware of, right?
has also taken her side, naturally,
Even
to slander Saintontas.
Do I know who Itoma? I don't think I know who this is, actually.
I find it absolutely fucking hilarious,
Okay.
given that he was the one who was the catalyst in Tectone stabbing me in the back by reacting to that delusional Gacha Takes episode first. And this isn't even including how more and more actual Wuwa players have also been turning against the clown too on social media with how fed up they are with this god-awful and nauseating behavior that just makes the rest of them look bad too. So as you might expect, I'm greatly amused by this little gacha rat civil war that we've been having as like a side plot against the clown. But as much as I'm thrilled by this turn of events against the clown and his kind, I'm keenly aware that realistically, this alone still will not stop him. At this point, he spouted his bullshit vitriol for so long and so vehemently that the only way for him to be gone for good is to remove his platforms manually and entirely. His YouTube channel does already have a strike on it, courtesy of Pokey, and he has been banned from Twitch in the past. But unless he also gets a Tectone treatment of getting his ass banned for an entire year, and unless he somehow gets another 2 strikes on his YouTube, unfortunately, his dumb ass ain't going anywhere. Likely because he can't with how fucking retarded he is. Honestly, I don't even know what he's gonna do with the job application, even if you did give him one. Shove it up his ass, maybe? He's got plenty of practice doing that already, I'm sure. The clown really is the dog shit 4-star version of the god of bald retards. This means that the next best thing we can do in the meantime as a community is to contain him. Now that it should be painfully clear what he's been doing all along, gacha creators and players alike must never let up the pressure on him. He can make all the woo-woo glazing videos he wants, but the fucking picosecond that he drops another gacha slander video, the rest of us need to blast his ass immediately. Again, he should be used to it by now with how often Tectone does that to him already. See, look at the baldy trying to run damage control for his favorite little pocket pussy. How cute.
To take away your views, and you didn't even mention him in it.
What's this?
You mentioned him in it. You even showed his avatar in that video. And he also made the video 4 times the length. And he responded to it and he transformed it.
Okay.
This is not some 99 million IQ. This is just abusing the copyright system.
Damn, he's more loyal to the clown than he was to his actual girlfriends. For as much propaganda that...
Now, whether or not Mr. Poke is abusing the copyright system, we'll find out in the court, right? If he wins the case, it's all up to him winning the case. If he wins the case, then it's no longer an abuse because the judge is going to prove that, Saintontas did, I guess, steal the content to a certain extent, right? But that's going to be up to the... It's not up for anyone to say anything, right? Because at the end of the day, I get it that Tectone say that because he's siding with Saintontas. I understand, right? At the end of the day, also, I wouldn't, nothing against Tectone personally, right? But, he also lost court case before. So that's just going to be what it is, right? Again, with all of these things, what you think is going to be different for what the lawyer or what the judge think, right? Because at the end of the day, we all have our biases because we are all in the gacha space. But when it comes to the lawyers and the judges, they are not, as invested. So probably they'll make a much more fair judgment. At least I'll believe that that's going to be the, the copyright system has so many gray areas. That's up to the judges, right? Up to the lawyers, up to the judge, up to the, I don't know, if they hire multiple lawyers, maybe one of them is going to hire 2 or 3 lawyers or even 5 lawyers, right?
Saintontas likes to put out there needs to be just as much, if not ideally more content countering it and exposing him as the nasty little 5'1" rat that he is. Not only will this prevent people from falling victim to his dumpster fire narratives in the future, but it'll also slowly but steadily box him into a corner mentally, to the point where maybe he makes a mistake and says something truly vile on stream, and that gets him banned or something. I don't know. I wonder how many more Holocaust analogies he's got. For those of you who might be concerned that, this will give the clown more traffic and exposure, I think that's pretty much a non-factor by this point, mainly because, as I've explained before, Saintontas will just go out of his way to harass people to create his own drama about them, or other gacha games for that matter, that he can then farm for views. It's either people just lie flat and do nothing while he runs around calling people pedophiles like the good little Epstein clone that he is, or we can at least make our own content clapping back at his ass. And I know what I'd rather do. And for those of you who are still unfortunate enough to watch the clown for your daily gacha content, let me ask you this.
Unfortunate.
It's one thing if you just want to watch him for entertainment value, though. If that's the case, then I would suggest you just go to Chatterbait and go click on the men's section, because at least that way you'll get a better show. But if you unironically watch him because you believe him whenever he says that he's talking truth about gacha, if y'all really value the truth so much, then why bother watching a guy who only talks about it instead of someone who is the truth? But fighting back against Saintontas is not the only thing that I want to focus on, because if it were, then I'd be no better than a rat myself.
Damn.
As much as I love making drama videos and other content, talking mad shit on the rats specifically, I would much rather make other content. Guys. For example, I enjoy making videos where I share my thoughts and takes on various topics about gacha games, whether in general or about recent events.
I actually think some of his videos are quite good, but I think he needs to make more of them, right? I think Gacha, Tuhu doesn't make much videos. He make maybe one video per 2 weeks, maybe, right? Maybe about there.
I'll continue to
I think
make
on
those.
average.
But as you can probably tell with this video, I also really like working on long-form content. Back when I
think this one is a
primarily
bit
made
too long,
FGO
though,
videos,
right?
I had this
It's a bit too long.
yearly series that I did called How to Play All the Servants in the Game, where I would pull every single character in that game that came out over the course of a year and make a video where I talk about each and every single one of them with a hearty dose of memes to go with them to spice it up. Unfortunately, for various reasons, I don't do those videos for FGO anymore. But I have done one for Genshin several years ago, and I want to do another one, this time updated for 2026. It'll take me a long time to get it done though, but I would also love to do this for all the major gachas out there right now. Not just Genshin, but also for Star Rail, Zenless, Wuwa, and Enfield, though I still need to pull all the characters in Enfield first. Would have had a good chance to do so if Lowlight didn't give me a fucking P3 Aya. It's fine though, she's even cuter in Enfield than she was in the first game, so she gets a pass. I keep calling myself the God of Gacha, and I keep yapping about how much I want to teach other people about gacha games, so I would like to announce the start of a new series that I'll call Gacha 101, where I make videos explaining the ins and outs of gacha games to newcomers or at least to those who aren't as familiar with them. If you're looking forward to any of this kind of content, first of all, thank you. It's an honor for me to make content that people out there can watch and enjoy and maybe even learn a thing or two from. However, I must warn you that it may take me a long time to make such content. As I've explained before, between my current part-time gig, job hunting, and just playing all 19 of my gacha games, I don't have a lot of spare time to make content with. I would love to be a full-time content creator. Not only because of my own personal hatred for Saintontas as a creator, again, if you can even fucking call him that, and his abysmal dogshit content, but also because I think I can provide my own flavor of content that's truly unique to this space and stands out from everyone else's. Like, has anyone else out there made a 2 or 3 hour long video yapping about every single playable character in Genshin Impact in one go? Yeah, I didn't think so. So, at the risk of having the clown and the other rats start calling me the god of beggars again, which is kind of funny given what I've seen other creators in the space do, and hey, if Saintontas feels the need to beg Tectone to protect his ass some more, then I don't see why I can't do this myself. I humbly ask for your support.
If Saintontas had stated that the only reason why he reacted to it was to take away your views and you didn't even mention him in it, but you mentioned him in it. You even showed his avatar in that video. And he also made the video 4 times the length. And he responded to it and he transformed it
of himself.
This is not some 99 million IQ. This is just abusing the copyright system.
So, subscribe to my YouTube channel, join the membership, follow and subscribe to the Twitch channel as well, if you can. And if you want to go even further beyond, check out and support me on Patreon. Join my Discord server too, if you want somewhere chill to hang out and just talk about gacha or something.
Chill to hang out, guys.
Any little bit truly does go a long way. And maybe one day, I'll be able to say that I can make all the content, all the gacha content I want for you guys. Even if you can't support me directly for whatever reason, hell, you might not even like me that much as a creator in the first place, that's fine. As long as you recognize how much of a fucking problem Saintontas and the other rats are in this space, and that you don't fall prey to their content and agendas, that's good enough for me. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I've kept you all for way too long. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, be cool, y'all. Oh, and Saintontas, I don't think you'll watch this part of the video, at least not naturally, but if you do, go fuck yourself, bucko.
Damn, Saintontas, alright. 2 hour videos. Insane, long video. This is Tuhu, for those of you who just tuned in and I was asking who this is. This is the Gacha God. Alright, the Gacha God. Now, I do think that this video is a little bit too long though, like unnecessarily long. I feel like if you want to make a video about Saintontas Hater Manifesto, like the early part where he talked about the Honkai Star Rail and Genshin part, I don't think this is necessary. You can just straight away skip to this particular part because everybody knows Genshin, Wuthering Waves, right? And if you want to talk about like the Arknight's Enfield and stuff, right, that's fine. But there's definitely a lot of parts that doesn't really need to be there. But it gets better towards the end. I feel like the video gets better towards the end. But my concern is most people are not going to wait long enough to watch until the end. They are going to watch the early part because the early part is not... I feel like the early part is probably... I wouldn't say boring. I understand that he's setting the stage, but at the same time, this part can be edited out, right? If he wants to like... because like most audience are not going to be that patient. The truth is, right? Most people are just going to like, oh, like the early part is not that good, I'm not going to watch it, right? That's just going to be what it is. How much do I rate the video? I think if I were to be honest, it's maybe about 6 to 7, right? Like, I think it's definitely unnecessarily long, right? I feel like there's a lot of points that he's trying to get across, right? And for example, I understand that some part he has to mention Tectong, for example, even though it's more about Saintontas in this video, but he doesn't really need to mention those parts, but I get why he needs to mention it because like it's personal for him. But again, right, that's going to be what it is, right? That's going to be the stuff. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes, right? Which is definitely insane. Woke is not... A lot of wokies are not going to have the attention span. A lot of people are not going to have the attention span, right? But again, what do you guys think of the video? Because at the end of the day, that's what it is, right?